Chapter 394. The heaven-deceiving cloak was of the profound divinity grade. Once it was refined into one's body, it could even block void fragmentation realm detection. Theoretically speaking, only void fragmentation realm experts could refine the profound divinity spiritual equipment. Even void refinement realm experts would find it difficult to refine it successfully. However, there was only one reason why Ning Fan had great confidence in refining the spirit. Because he was of the Fu Li bloodline, he had the last spirit in this world. The bloodline of the Fu Li clan was very powerful. Ning Fan possessed outstanding talents such as purple wings and illusory eyes. Most importantly, with the help of the Fu Li demon blood, Ning Fan was actually able to display the ancestral bloodline secret technique of the Black Dragon clan several times. The 5 burial dragon technique could only be used by members of the ancestral blood of the Black Dragon clan. However, Ning Fan was able to use it. Moreover, after devouring the ancestral blood of the Black Dragon, a trace of Fu Li ancestral blood was actually condensed in his body. The monster blood of the Fu Li race allowed them to cast the secret arts of other races and devour the ancestral blood of other races to advance their cultivation. From this point alone, they were superior to the other monster races. Spirit, how did I lose it? Ning Fan held the heaven-deceiving cloak in his hand and fell into deep thought. This cloak was sewn from the profound azure cloud thread and then engraved with Yao art formations. On the left shoulder of the cloak, there was a rather special pattern. It seemed to be the emblem of some family. It was a pattern of red clouds. Without paying too much attention to the pattern, Ning Fan released a trace of demonic power, trying to deepen the connection between him and the cloak. At the same time, he invaded the cloak's spirit sense, trying to refine it. Bit by bit, he imprinted the ancestral blood of the Fu Li race onto the cloak. That cloak originally rejected Ning Fan to the extreme, as if it despised Ning Fan for having a low cultivation base, which made him unworthy of refining the cloak. Then, after the Fu Li ancestral blood brand was imprinted on him, the cloaked figure seemed to be afraid of him and no longer dared to resist him. Without the cloak's resistance, Ning Fan would at most need 3 days to refine the heaven-deceiving cloak. Moreover, he would definitely succeed. The result of the test made Ning Fan's eyes lit up with delight, but at the same time, he was secretly shocked. The bloodline of the Fu Li race was truly heaven-defying. With the help of the Fu Li bloodline, it was actually so easy to refine the profound divinity spirit equipment. Seeing that Ning Fan had been sitting in a meditative posture for the entire day, Yu Chong felt a little bored. In the cave, Ning Fan was like a block of wood, ignoring her. Outside the abode, the 3 void refinement realm gate deities were blocking her way. She could not go out and she did not dare to either. There were void refinement realm ferocious beasts outside. Yu Chong squatted in the cave out of boredom and secretly observed Ning Fan's expression. When she saw how focused he was, she suddenly became a little dazed. The reason he has such strength is not because of luck. Master once said, "Those who are dedicated to the Tao will go far." That's probably referring to people like him. Yu Chong was scrutinizing Ning Fan. All of a sudden, she saw him putting down his cloak and looking at her. She quickly averted her eyes and pretended that nothing had happened. "You've been looking at the heaven-deceiving cloak for a whole day. Do you think it's nice?" Yu Chong loved to tease Ning Fan. "You've been staring at me for half a day. Do I look good?" Ning Fan asked. Who's looking at you? What's there to look at?" Yu Chong fiercely shifted her gaze to the side and ignored Ning Fan angrily. Ning Fan also ignored her. He suddenly rose to his feet and put the cloak on his shoulders. Then he continued walking towards the depths of the cave. At the end of the cave, he made a sweeping motion with his sword finger and opened up another stone room. Then he told Yu Chong not to enter without permission. He wanted to refine the heaven-deceiving cloak. Even though he had already tamed the cloak, it was still risky since he was going to refine it despite his cultivation base. Ning Fan's eyes were filled with nostalgia. He recalled the time when he refined the wind thunder wings in Great Jin. In the ancestral grave of Wei country, he had once obtained the enlightening art. Among them, there was also the sacrificial art which could increase the success rate of being recognized by 30%. After sealing the entrance of the stone room, Ning Fan put on the cloak, and his body was suddenly engulfed in raging black flames. As the black flames burned, the heaven-deceiving cloak gradually showed signs of fusing into Ning Fan's body. At the same time, he felt an indescribable pain. His eyes widened and he sucked in a deep breath of cold air. The heaven-deceiving cloak was an immortal void-rank treasure. The magic power it contained was tremendous. With Ning Fan's cultivation base, it was naturally painful for him to bear such a powerful spiritual equipment. As the spiritual equipment was being refined, the all-heaven relic in Ning Fan's dantian actually showed signs of being devoured by the cloak. Both of them were treasures that could deceive heaven's secrets. However, the heaven-deceiving cloak was 2 grades higher than the all-heaven relic. One day later, the all-heaven relic was completely devoured by the cloak. 1/3 of the cloak had also been refined into Ning Fan's body. 2 days later, a trace of heaven-deceiving power began to envelop Ning Fan, messing up his fate and heaven's secrets. It was obvious that this heaven-deceiving cloak also had the effect of preventing cultivators from divining other than concealing his body. 3 days later, the cloak was completely refined into his body. Ning Fan kept the black flames in the room, and exhaled a mouthful of turbid qi. With a thought in his mind, a cloak immediately appeared above his white robes out of nowhere, and covered his entire body. Then, he disappeared from his original spot without leaving a trace of his qi. After keeping the cloak, Ning Fan's figure appeared on the spot with a satisfied smile on his face. With this cloak, I can still do some of my own things even if I'm under the nose of a void fragmentation realm expert. It will certainly come in handy in the future. Actually, there was no need for him to wait for the future. Right now, this cloak could already be put to great use. For 3 consecutive days, Ning Fan did not step out of his residence, making Yu Chong very anxious. Once a spiritual equipment of a higher grade fails to recognize its master, one would suffer a backlash. The stronger the spiritual equipment was, the heavier the backlash would be. Yu Chong was really worried that Ning Fan would die from the backlash of the cloak if he was not careful. Strange. What does it have to do with me whether Great Devil Lord Zhou is dead or alive? Why should I care about him? That's right. The reason why I care about him is because if he dies, no one would be able to bring me out of the 2nd floor. That must be the case. Yu Chong seemed to be trying her best to convince herself. She did not notice that the stone door cracked open a little, and Ning Fan turned into a wisp of smoke and flew out lightly. Miss Chong, are you worried about me? Ning Fan asked with a smile. Do you smell good? Why would I be worried about you? Yu Chong said in a hypocritical manner. However, when she saw that Ning Fan did not suffer any backlash from the spiritual equipment, she still felt relieved. She thought that Ning Fan had not started to refine the cloak yet. When she thought of the 3 days of fear and anxiety, Yu Chong did not know if her brain was wired wrongly. She actually advised Ning Fan to give up on refining the cloak. Ning Fan smiled without saying a word. Suddenly he grabbed Yu Chong's wrist. With a shake of his body, he flew out of the cave in an instant. What was even more daring was that he did not bring his 3 spiritual puppets with him. Without the Void Refinement Realm spiritual puppets to deter him and the blood sword with him, Ning Fan was targeted by many blood demons almost as soon as he appeared outside the cave. All of a sudden, countless beasts roared and attacked Ning Fan. Yu Chong's small face turned pale with fright. She originally wanted to criticize Ning Fan for not having physical contact between men and women, and try to break free from Ning Fan's evil claws. However, when she saw the group of beasts attacking her, she could not help but feel a little scared. She could not help but move closer to Ning Fan and beg, Let's go back quickly. If the Void Refinement Realm blood demons discover us and attack us together, we will die. Are you afraid of death? Ning Fan asked with a smile. Of course. Of course I'm afraid. Yu Chong answered honestly. I'm also afraid. So we just don't let them discover us. Cloak, heaven-deceiving cloak. Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. A black cloak suddenly appeared on his body, covering both him and Yu Chong within it. The moment the cloak covered their bodies, the 2 of them seemed to have vanished from the face of the earth, directly disappearing from the eyes of the group of beasts. Even a mid-void refinement realm ferocious beast was confused. It could not understand where the two of them had gone. In fact, the two of them did not go anywhere. They were still at the same place. They just used the cloak to conceal themselves so that no one could see them. The heaven-deceiving cloak. You have actually refined the heaven-deceiving cloak. This is an incredible matter. You have actually refined a profound divinity spiritual equipment that is at a higher cultivation level than you. Curling up in Ningfan's arms, Yu Chong found it unbelievable. Everything felt like a dream. What did this mean? It meant that from today onwards, if Ningfan could not defeat anyone, he could just summon the cloak and flee calmly. Even a void fragmentation realm old monster might not be able to find him. Help me keep this secret, Ningfan said solemnly. Why? Yu Chong'er's cheeks turned red. She did not ask why Ningfan would keep the cloak a secret. Instead, she asked why Ningfan was willing to trust her and think that she could keep the secret. There's no particular reason. I'm not afraid of others knowing about the cloak, but I don't like having all my trump cards exposed. Ningfan obviously did not answer her question. He was not afraid of Yu Chong revealing the secret. He was just used to getting rich quietly. That was all. Ningfan returned to his cave dwelling and brought the 3 spiritual puppets with him. They traveled on the 2nd floor for 10 days. The two of them shuttled through the dense forest, passing by countless ferocious beasts. However, none of the ferocious beasts could detect their presence. Ningfan would occasionally attack and instantly kill some divine transformation realm blood demons. Then, he would conceal himself with the cloak to avoid the trouble of being besieged. Like this, the success rate of his sneak attacks was extremely high. In the past 10 days, he had actually killed hundreds of wild beasts. As for Yu Chong, she was held in Ningfan's arms for 10 consecutive days. At first, she was a little averse to it. However, after some time, she accepted it and got used to the feeling of his embrace. Although she was still grumbling incessantly, a strange feeling gradually rose in her heart. 10 days later, Ningfan and Yu Chong arrived at the central area of the 2nd floor. There was only a pitch-black hole in the ground which seemed bottomless. Judging from the direction of the hole, it probably led to the 3rd floor. There were a few peak void refinement realm ferocious beasts guarding the vicinity of the hole. Once they show themselves, Ningfan could imagine how easily they would be killed by these ferocious beasts. The 3rd floor of the Blood Dragon Pool was the place where only the reign sovereigns of each generation could enter for seclusion. If one were to trace back to its origin, this Blood Dragon Pool was built by a certain reign sovereign who was a demon pet of Chu Chang, and for his cultivation. As they approached the hole, Ningfan's eyes widened in surprise. The chi of dragon blood coming out from the hole was unimaginably vast. This made Ningfan secretly speculate if there were tens of thousands of bottles of dragon blood hidden in the 3rd floor of the cave. Otherwise, how could there be such a vast chi of dragon blood? Zhou Ming, I'm a little scared. Let's go back. We will leave the Blood Dragon Pool in 9 days. It's about time for us to go back. Yu Chong looked at the 4 peak void refinement realm ferocious beasts guarding the hole and trembled. 4 peak void refinement realm ferocious beasts. Perhaps even a true void fragmentation realm expert would have a hard time dealing with them. Even though Yu Chong knew that she was protected by the heaven-deceiving cloak, she still felt scared. She really did not want to die in this place, especially with Ningfan. I want to explore this hole. If you're scared, you can choose to be knocked unconscious by me and put into my cauldron ring. Ningfan teased. You still want to knock me unconscious? How dare you? Yu Chong was a little angry. She vaguely remembered that she was knocked unconscious by Ningfan when she escaped from the encirclement of the void refinement realm beasts last time. This time, Ningfan's expression actually remained unchanged, and he even said such words that showed no tenderness towards the fairer sex. It was really infuriating. Do you think I dare or not? This is... Ningfan was just joking at first. However, after activating his Fu Li demon eyes and seeing the scene at the end of the hole, his expression suddenly changed. He had never expected that the so-called 3rd floor of the Blood Dragon Pool would actually look like this. In this world, he was probably the only one who could enter the seclusion place of the previous reign sovereign. Therefore, in order to not expose some of his secrets, he really had to knock Yucheng are unconscious. I'm sorry. You look so scared. Sleep for a while first. I'll wake you up 9 days later. Ningfan did not give Yucheng or any chance to resist. Without showing any tenderness towards the fairer sex, he pointed a finger at her shoulder and collarbone. A trace of plucking finger force entered her body. Yucheng er's consciousness gradually fell into a daze. She naturally knew that Ningfan was really trying to knock her unconscious. She angrily bit Ningfan's shoulder and fainted just like that. However, before she fainted, she suddenly felt shocked. I'm really shameless. I actually bit Ningfan's shoulder. It's really unsightly for me to do such an ambiguous act. I'm sorry. Ningfan let out a sigh. I'm afraid that the third floor is a great opportunity for him. Therefore, it was indeed inappropriate for him to let Yucheng follow him. He had a lot of secrets. It might not necessarily be a good thing for Yucheng to know about it. After keeping Yucheng into his cauldron ring for the time being, Ningfan's figure flashed and flew towards the third floor of the underground cave. He could feel that the chi of the dragon blood in this place was getting stronger and stronger. Perhaps there really were tens of thousands of bottles of dragon blood in this place. The seclusion place of the previous Rain sovereigns. Ever since the generation of Hong Yuan, no one else could enter this place. Even the current Rain sovereign did not know what kind of scene it was. Today, it was Ningfan's turn to enter this place. Chapter 395. Ningfan moved stealthily in the underground cave. He didn't know how far he had walked, but at the end of the dark tunnel stood a giant silver door. The gate was 100,000 feet tall, and there were 12 silver stone lions standing outside. However, when Ningfan's figure appeared and approached the stone lions, the dull eyes of the 12 stone lions turned to Ningfan's and emitted a cold, murderous intent. It was as if he would be killed by the 12 stone lions if he went any closer to the giant door. Ningfan's heart shuddered. If he was not wrong, these 12 stone lions were the product of some kind of formation. It was built here because it was infused with the power of the formation to protect the gate and attack all trespassers. Each of the 12 stone lions emitted the chi of a first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. Once attacked by the 12 stone lions, even if it was the Rain Emperor, he would probably suffer some injuries. These stone lions couldn't be brought away or moved away. The fact that they were sculpted in this place gave Ningfan a great shock. The Rain Emperor who built the Blood Dragon Pool was so generous. He actually used 12 void fragmentation realm stone statues to protect him during his seclusion. You should know that even the current Rain Palace only has 11 void fragmentation realm experts, including the current Rain Sovereign. After calming himself down, Ningfan halted his steps and no longer dared to approach the giant door without permission. It was rumored that ever since the Red Cloud Rain Emperor, there had already been 3 generations of Rain Emperors who had not been able to enter this place to cultivate. There must be a reason behind this. Regarding this reason, Ningfan had already guessed it before entering the underground cave. Ningfan's eyes swept across the 12 stone lions and finally landed on an inconspicuous groove on the giant door. The groove was only the size of a palm, as if something had to be inserted to open the giant door. Without this object, even if the stone lions didn't attack the visitor wouldn't be able to open the giant door. Ningfan patted his storage pouch and took out a silver token. That token was precisely the Rain Emperor's token that he had obtained from the 8th floor of the Lost World Tower. The 3rd level of the Blood Dragon Pool was a cultivation ground specially prepared for the Rain Emperor. Why is it that no one can enter the Red Cloud first generation? When he saw the indent, he already had a guess. The size of the indent was exactly the same as the Rain Sovereign's token. Most likely, all of this was related to the Rain Emperor's token. After Hong Yuan, there were already 3 generations of Rain Emperors who had lost their Rain Emperor's badge. Now that this item had fallen into Ningfan's hands, he wondered if he could open the cultivation treasure vault that even the 3 generations of Rain Sovereigns could not open. Whether it's true or not, we'll know once we try. If I still get attacked by the stone lions with this token, I will immediately use the heaven-deceiving cloak to escape. Even though these stone lions have the strength of a first heavenly layer void fragmentation realm expert, they might not be able to detect my whereabouts. Ning Fan made up his mind and stepped into the attacking range of the stone lions. Vigilance rose in his heart. The moment the stone lions showed any signs of attacking, he would immediately retreat in stealth. The moment Ning Fan stepped into the attacking range of the stone lions, the killing intent of the 12 stone lions locked onto him. However, when the empty gazes of the 12 lions landed on the Rain Emperor's token, their killing intent immediately disappeared. Amidst the rumbling sounds, the 12 stone lions actually knelt on their knees and lowered their heads to Ning Fan's direction. After they kowtowed, 12 ancient and stiff voices came out. "Greetings, Divine Emperor." Ning Fan's eyes lit up with joy. As expected, the key to opening the 3rd level of the Blood Dragon Pool was this Rain Emperor's token. But in the next moment, Ning Fan's eyes widened in shock. When the 12 stone lions knelt down, there was an indescribable pressure pressing down on Ning Fan's. That pressure did not have any malicious intent. That pressure was produced by void fragmentation realm experts who knelt down. When one's cultivation base reached the void fragmentation realm, he or she already had a connection with the heavenly Tao and was about to become an immortal. Not everyone could accept the kneeling of a void fragmentation realm expert. If one's aura was not strong enough, he or she might even be kneeled to death by a void fragmentation realm expert. Even an early void refinement realm expert would probably die from kneeling to the 12 void fragmentation realm stone lions. Even a peak void refinement realm expert would not be able to avoid getting injured. Ning Fan continuously took 100 steps back. However, the aura force, which was as vast as the sea, was getting closer and closer to him. This scene was similar to the scene when he went up the Bright Moon Tower in the northern desert city of the Luoyun tribe. He was subdued by the aura force, comprehended the aura force ascension technique, and comprehended the Sovereign Shadow's ability. Sovereign Shadow. Ning Fan stopped moving. His eyes shone with golden light, and a golden shadow that was several zhang tall appeared behind him. At the moment when the golden shadow appeared, Ning Fan's body was enveloped in golden light. He took a step forward and stepped into the aura force without any fear. Break. He uttered the word coldly as if he had become a void fragmentation realm sovereign expert after adding the Sovereign Shadow. With the might of the Sovereign Shadow, it actually shattered the power of the 12 stone lions who knelt down and kowtowed. "All of you rise." Yes. The 12 stone lions slowly rose to their feet. Once again, their spirituality was greatly reduced, and they became ordinary stone statues. Ning Fan looked at the Sovereign Shadow behind him and calmed himself down. If he did not condense the Sovereign Shadow, he would probably be injured and killed by the aura force. The 3 void fragmentation realm techniques were Incarnation, Soul Extraction, and Sovereign Shadow. The first 2 were the secret techniques that Ning Fan used the most. The Incarnation technique would first create a clone and devour it. The clone could then turn illusory into a real body and defend against many attacks. Moreover, the clone could also extend many secret techniques from the clone, such as the Black Tempest soul-splitting technique. The soul extraction technique would extract the souls of all living beings in the world to improve one's magic power. It was a secret technique that countless cultivators yearned to learn. As for the Sovereign Shadow, it had a greater use. The aura force of the Sovereign Shadow was one of its uses, but it was not its true purpose. The ultimate purpose of condensing the Sovereign Shadow was to refine the Sovereign Chi. However, it was not something that any cultivator could achieve. When the Sovereign Chi is cultivated to a certain extent, it could devour heavenly lightning and earthly fire, block calamities and tribulations, conceal the heavenly secrets and immortal souls. It could also be used as a supreme offensive technique. The Incarnation technique focused on defense while the Soul Extraction technique focused on support. As for the Sovereign Shadow, it focused on offense. Ning Fan condensed the Sovereign Shadow, but it did not have a trace of Sovereign Chi. Rumor had it that among the 11 void fragmentation realm experts in the Rain Palace, only the Rain Sovereign had completely condensed a trace of Sovereign Chi. Even Chu Chang'an, who had served several generations of divine sovereigns, only managed to condense half a trace of Sovereign Chi. Even so, many people still respectfully addressed Old Man Chu as Sovereign Chu. The word sovereign represented the Sovereign Chi. A trace of Sovereign Chi was as light as cotton, but it could suppress mountains and rivers. If Ningfan had a trace of sovereign qi and knelt down to the 12 stone lions, the one who would be injured would certainly not be him but the stone lions. In the 9 worlds, even an ordinary void fragmentation realm expert would not be able to withstand the kneeling of a sovereign qi. The reason why the sovereign rain primordial art given to him by Hong Yun was listed as the strongest cultivation method of the Rain Palace was because it recorded several secret techniques that utilized sovereign qi. When the rain sovereigns of the past condensed their sovereign qi and displayed their secret techniques, it would be difficult for them to find a match for those at the same level as them unless they were facing a sovereign expert. Ningfan stared at the sovereign shadow and fell into deep thought. Currently, he did not have any sovereign qi. Other than using the sovereign shadow to block some of the aura force, he could not use it to attack at all. To Ningfan, sovereign qi was something that he could only hope to obtain. If he condenses his sovereign qi at this moment, he would probably become a sovereign expert of the rain world. It was just too ridiculous. Without the obstruction of the stone lions, Ningfan walked closer to the giant door. The door was also emitting a vast aura force. Fortunately, Ningfan was not afraid of the aura force of the giant door with the help of the sovereign shadow. With a flick of his finger, he inserted the rain sovereign token into the groove. Immediately, the giant door let out a loud rumbling sound and slowly opened. After keeping the rain sovereign token, Ningfan took a step into the giant door. In an instant, the giant door slowly closed. No one knew that Ningfan had entered the forbidden area that even 3 generations of rain sovereigns could not enter. As far as the eye could see, this place was a splendid and magnificent palace. This palace was only used for the cultivation of the past rain sovereigns. In the middle of the palace, there was a circular pool that was only several zhang in size. It was filled with dragon blood. It seemed to be used for people to soak in it and cultivate. On the roof of the palace directly above the blood pool, there was a tiny hole that seemed to be connected to the first and second floors. It continuously drew the dragon blood of countless blood demons into this place. Ningfan's gaze fell upon the blood pool, and he immediately took a deep breath. This blood pool was filled with dragon blood. There were probably tens of thousands of pots of it. How much magic power would be contained in such a large amount of dragon blood? This dragon blood was collected drop by drop from the blood dragon pool. If it was the era of the previous rain sovereigns, they would certainly not be able to accumulate so much dragon blood. Perhaps just half of the pool would be completely refined by the previous rain sovereigns. Ningfan was lucky. It had been 3 generations since the last rain sovereign came to the 3rd floor of the blood dragon pool. All of the dragon blood was accumulated here, waiting for Ningfan to enjoy it. Ningfan stared at the pool of dragon blood. He was absolutely reluctant to use this pool of dragon blood to soak in it. 10,000 jugs of dragon blood brewed into blood wine would be equivalent to 50 million units of magic power. It was highly possible for him to break through to the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm after devouring the entire pool of dragon blood. From this blood pool, Ningfan could almost see the hope of ascending to the heavens with a single step. However, a moment later, he seemed to have noticed something. Immediately, a bucket of cold water was poured over his head. He did not know whether to laugh or cry. Destroyed. Even though there was a lot of dragon blood in this pool, it was all destroyed by this pool. There was a great formation set up in the blood pool, and all of the dragon blood was converted into bath water, so it could no longer be used to brew wine. Ningfan could only choose to take a bath in this place. It was impossible for him to refine the dragon blood and attain the void fragmentation realm. Even if Ningfan's Dao heart was firm, he could not help but feel a little shaken. When a cultivator who had been cultivating painstakingly and longing to reach the void fragmentation realm suddenly saw the hope of breaking through to the void fragmentation realm, how joyous would that be? When he found out that his joy was for naught, how sad was that? However, his Dao heart only wavered for a moment before it was stopped by Ningfan. He gazed at the pool of blood in silence, pondered carefully, and then came to an understanding. To a divine transformation realm or void refinement realm cultivator, the blood wine brewed from this pool of dragon blood had the hope of breaking through to the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. However, to the rain sovereign who was at the void fragmentation realm, The magic power contained in this pool of dragon blood was perhaps insignificant. The Rain Sovereign who built this blood dragon pool must have spent so much effort to build this pool of blood for bathing. It was certainly not just for bathing. With Ningfan's intelligence, he immediately guessed that this blood pool must be of great importance to the Rain Sovereign's cultivation. That purpose was even more important than breaking through to the next level of cultivation. Therefore, this dragon blood was not used to brew wine, but to build a pool. Ningfan made up his mind and scanned the palace with his eyes as if he was searching for something. In this palace, other than this blood pool, there were also many good things. On an ancient shelf there were many jade slips and ancient books. Ningfan flipped through them one by one. To his surprise, he found out that the jade slips here were the cultivation experiences of cultivators. Not only did they come from the rain world, but there were also those from other worlds as well. Moreover, there were even the experiences of ancient immortals. The focus of these experiences were all sovereign shadow and sovereign qi. Other than that, Ningfen also found piles of immortal jade at the end of the palace and Dao crystals. A Dao crystal was equivalent to 5 million immortal jade. There were at least 1,000 Dao crystals in this place, which was equivalent to 5 billion immortal jade. Apart from that, the engravings on the walls of the palace were filled with pictures and words. When Ningfan looked at them carefully with his spirit sense, he found out that the pictures and words recorded the experiences of the previous Rain Sovereigns when they cultivated the sovereign shadow and condensed their sovereign qi. At the end of the palace, Ningfan found a stone platform with a round crystal enshrined on it. As soon as he saw the crystal, Ningfan's eyes turned cold. This crystal was actually the inheritance crystal that could only be found in the four heavens immortal worlds. The inheritance crystal could directly pass on the cultivation experiences of cultivation methods and secret techniques to the cultivators of the later generations. As for how much inheritance one could obtain, it would depend on the cultivator's innate talent and comprehension ability. A bold guess rose in Ningfan's mind. Everything in this place was related to the sovereign shadow and sovereign qi. Could it be that the purpose of building the blood pool was to help the previous Rain Sovereigns condense their sovereign qi and become sovereigns? If that's the case, could Ningfan use the resources here to condense his first trace of sovereign qi? In the Rain Palace, there was only one Rain Sovereign who could condense sovereign qi. From today onwards, would there be another Ningfan? Ningfan's eyes were filled with excitement. If everything was as he had guessed, the blood pool existed to condense sovereign qi. Without a doubt, bathing in the dragon blood was much more cost-effective than directly increasing his magic power. Whether it was as he had guessed, he would know once he examined the crystal. Ningfan wanted to see what kind of inheritance the previous Rain Sovereigns had left behind in this place. He pressed his palm on the crystal. At the next moment, countless memories were transmitted into his body from the crystal. In his sea of consciousness, he seemed to hear a voice that was teaching him. I am the demonic Cloud Rain Sovereign. I set up the dragon pool for the future Rain Sovereigns to condense sovereign qi. After hearing this voice, countless memories flowed into Ningfan's sea of consciousness like tidal waves. Ningfan's eyes became even more fervent. Among those memories, it even included the entire cultivation method of the Sovereign Rain primordial art. In the end, he was able to confirm one thing. This place was indeed prepared for the purpose of gathering the monarch qi. If he can condense a trace of sovereign qi, he could completely suppress an early void refinement realm cultivator, even if he was a divine transformation realm cultivator. Chapter 396. Layers of vast memories entered Ningfan's sea of consciousness. Compared to ancient chaos memories, the inheritance crystal didn't contain as much memories. The memories of the ancient chaos included medicine, divination, astrology, and countless profound principles of cultivation. And within this crystal, only the fiendish Cloud Rain Emperor's comprehension of Sovereign's shadow and Sovereign's qi were inherited. Naturally, there were some secret arts of the Rain Palace. The bewitching Cloud Rain Emperor cultivated sovereign qi, and what he relied on was the Sovereign Rain origin art. As a result, the inheritance crystal had an extremely clear analysis of this art. An hour later, the light from the crystal gradually dimmed. He moved his palm away from the crystal and closed his eyes, digesting the memories and comprehensions in his sea of consciousness. Not only was there the demonic Cloud Rain Emperor's comprehension, there was also the comprehension of several generations of Rain Emperors. The demonic Cloud's Rain Sovereign became famous 70,000 years ago in Chu Chang, and was also a void fragmentation realm senior of that era. Therefore, even though Chu Chang was a member of the demon race and was not accepted by the Rain Palace, he was still an indispensable figure in the Rain Palace because of his illustrious identity. After Yao Yun's death, there were 2 generations of Rain Sovereigns. None of them were titled Rain Sovereigns until Hong Yun broke through to the 6th heavenly layer of the Void Fragmentation realm and obtained another title. Hong Yun was the last Rain Emperor who had received the inheritance and left behind his comprehension. This meant that there was a total of the comprehensions of 4 Rain Emperors in the crystal. After Hong Yun, it was another 3 generations before the current generation. This generation's Rain Emperor had never obtained this kind of comprehension. Ning Fan obtained it. Not only did he gain enlightenment, but there was also an indescribable power in the crystal that helped Ning Fan break through all the bottlenecks of the first 5 layers of primordial art. Half a day later, Ning Fan opened his eyes and digested all the inheritance of the cultivation method. The comprehension of the sovereign chi of the 4 divine sovereigns was no trivial matter. After receiving their guidance, Ning Fan had nearly comprehended all the key points of the 7 levels of the sovereign rain primordial art. Since Ning Fan had already comprehended the cultivation method, he entered the profound Yin world. In the profound Yin world, a day's worth of cultivation was 100 times that of the outside world. 3 days was equivalent to 300 days of bitter cultivation. With the insights of the 4 divine sovereigns and the breakthrough of the bottleneck of the first 5 levels of the cultivation method, Ning Fan had completely cultivated the sovereign rain primordial art to the 5th level. 3 days later, Ning Fan was expelled from the profound Yin world. As such, there were still 5 days left until they left the Blood Dragon pool. Ning Fan kept away all the immortal jades, Dao crystals, jade slips and ancient books. Then he stood beside the blood pool with a solemn expression. By chance, he had entered the 3rd level of the Blood Dragon pool and opened the inheritance that 3 generations of divine emperors had failed to open. If he couldn't use the blood pool to condense a strand of sovereign chi, how could he be satisfied? Now that the monarch rain origin art had reached the 5th layer, he could condense enough monarch chi. There was more dragon blood in the pool than there was when Yao Yun, Hong Yun, and the other rain emperors of the past 4 generations had condensed their sovereign chi, so there was naturally no shortage of dragon blood. The insights of the 4 divine sovereigns could also prevent Ning Fan from making any mistakes while condensing the sovereign chi. His luck was purple, and the situation of the heavens not protecting him would not occur. The right time and the right place to condense the monarch chi were all perfect. All that was lacking was the people. If Ning Fan fails to condense the sovereign chi, the only possible reason would be that his cultivation base is too low. Which of the past rain sovereigns who had condensed the sovereign chi was not at the void fragmentation realm? How could a divine transformation realm cultivator like Ning Fan enter the blood pool and condense his sovereign chi? However, among all the past rain emperors, including Yao Yun, which one of them had managed to form an emperor's shadow when they were at the deity transformation stage? Ning Fan's cultivation base was too low. It was the biggest uncertainty in the condensation of sovereign chi. Even so, he still wanted to give it a try. If he succeeded in condensing the sovereign chi and broke through to the void fragmentation realm in the future, he would certainly be invincible among those at the same level as him. Unless he was a sovereign expert. Since Moksha Sovereign was the divine sovereign of the devil world, he must have the sovereign chi in his body. In that case, how could Ning Fan be weaker than Moksha Sovereign? With a solemn expression, Ning Fan took a step into the blood pool and immersed himself in it. The moment his skin came into contact with the dragon blood, it immediately burned and festered. This was dragon blood. All the dragon blood added up to a few 100 million units of magic power. As he immersed himself in the purest form of magic power, he felt as if his 5 internal organs were burning. As soon as his blood chi touched his body, his mind was immediately thrown into chaos and his eyes turned blood red. Without any hesitation, He circulated the monarch rain origin art. Relying on the origin art to protect his body, his mind gradually became clear. After summoning the sovereign's shadow, Ningfan's eyes shone like a deity and his aura was as powerful as the sun and the moon. He frantically formed hand seals at the bottom of the blood pool. His body was too weak to withstand the might of the dragon blood. However, his emperor's shadow did not hurt or die. It could be used as a vessel for a pool of dragon blood. Refine. Ningfan's eyes were filled with madness. He was going to refine all the magic power of the hundreds of millions of units into his emperor's shadow. Traces of dragon blood entered the shadow. Even though the emperor's shadow still did not have a face, it became more solid. A golden vortex rose from the heart of the emperor's shadow. As soon as the vortex took shape, the vast amount of dragon blood was sucked into the shadow uncontrollably. The faint golden emperor's shadow began to emit a layer of blood light. In just 2 hours, all the dragon blood in the entire pool was absorbed by the emperor's shadow. The first step is a success. Ningfan sat cross-legged at the bottom of the blood pool with a hint of joy in his eyes. There were 3 steps to condense the sovereign qi. The first step was to condense the natal sovereign's shadow of the cultivator. Otherwise, the cultivator would not be qualified to condense the sovereign qi at all. In other words, Ningfan had only completed the first step when he condensed the sovereign's shadow in the past. The second step was to prepare enough spiritual herbs and spiritual items for the sovereign's shadow. Through cultivation and comprehension, the sovereign's shadow would gradually devour the power of those natural treasures. This process required a void fragmentation realm expert to spend countless years comprehending and cultivating a sovereign qi cultivation method. Ningfan had obtained the cultivation method and comprehension from the crystal of inheritance. There were tens of thousands of bottles of dragon blood in the pool. They had also provided sufficient nourishment for the sovereign's shadow to condense the sovereign qi. Next, there was only the third step left, to completely condense the sovereign qi. This step required the cultivator to merge with the sovereign's shadow. This step was the one that Ningfan was the most worried about. His cultivation base was too low. If he merges with the sovereign's shadow, the massive power of the pool of dragon blood would undoubtedly be added to his body. In an instant, Ningfan's body might directly explode from the power of the dragon blood. His palms were slightly sweaty. This was undoubtedly another huge gamble. Giving up the third step would mean losing the chance to condense the sovereign qi. However, there was no need for him to take the risk. Choosing the third step would give him the chance to condense the sovereign qi, but he might also suffer a severe backlash. Between life and death, Ningfan's mind was in a mess. However, when his sea of consciousness recalled the scenes of gratitude and vengeance, his heart suddenly calmed down. He could not run away. If he had run away in the past, Weiyang would have already died in the hands of Zhongqing. Her soul would have been completely destroyed and she would not have the chance to reunite with him in her next life. If he had run away in the past, the 7 Apricot City would have been razed to the ground by Moksha Sovereign, and he would certainly become a stray dog from that day onwards. The incarnation technique can ensure that I won't die even if I lose. The Black Star technique can ensure that I won't die even if I get injured. Even if I lose, I will only suffer heavy injuries and lose my cultivation base. If I succeed, I will also be a sovereign realm expert from today onwards. I want to become a sovereign realm expert. Ningfan's eyes flashed with determination. A wave of resolute aura force rose from his body. As his aura force rose, a trace of the qi of the insect sovereign's blood in his blood resonated with it. That blood was a gift from Yuchong. That blood was once the blood of her reincarnation as the insect sovereign. With this blood, Ningfan's chances of condensing the sovereign qi would be much higher. Without any hesitation, Ningfan took a step forward and overlapped with the sovereign's shadow. As soon as the sovereign's shadow, which was glowing with blood-red light, merged with Ningfan, faint golden light of burning blood immediately rose around his body. A vast magic power burst out from his body. In just an instant, his physical body was torn into pieces by the power of the dragon blood. However, by using the incarnation, the black shadow regained its form. Even though its face was pale, it was fearless. Refine. Ningfan's fingers moved rapidly and forcefully refined the dragon blood into the sovereign's shadow. Traces of faint golden threads began to take shape within the sovereign's shadow. The light of the dragon blood on the sovereign's shadow was slowly diminishing. As for Ning Fan, he extracted all the souls of the earth and summoned his 5 natal stars. He then consumed half a bottle of healing medicine to recover his injuries at a crazy rate. Rumble. Before Ning Fan's injuries were fully healed, his body exploded for the second time. He was still determined to refine the sovereign chi without any fear in his eyes. I want to become a sovereign realm expert. A sense of pride rose in Ning Fan's heart. He had always been a proud person. His pride was not about fighting to the death for an undeserved reputation or a quarrel. His pride was not about submitting to any power or authority for his entire life. He wanted to become a sovereign who ruled over others instead of being ruled by others. Today, he condensed the first trace of sovereign chi. In the future, he would become an immortal sovereign and stand at the peak of 1 billion worlds. In the past 5 days, Ning Fan's body exploded again and again. However, he reformed his body every time to suppress his injuries. On the first day, his body exploded 102 times. On the second day, his body exploded 75 times. On the third day, his body exploded 51 times. On the fourth day, his body exploded 12 times. On the fifth day, his body only exploded 3 times. The power of the dragon blood was becoming weaker and weaker. It was no longer dangerous. As time went by, Ning Fan's body shone like a golden god. His eyes shone like the sun and moon, and his aura was like the firmament. Above his body, there was a golden light in the shape of a dragon soaring around his body. The first trace of sovereign chi was completely condensed. He was just one step away from success. Ning Fan's eyes were filled with pride. He suddenly raised his head and stared at the firmament coldly, as if he was talking to the heavens. I want to become a sovereign realm expert. He opened his mouth and swallowed the dragon-shaped golden light into his abdomen. Then, his eyes suddenly became domineering. A vast aura force swept across the entire palace. Countless ancient bookshelves were directly lifted away by Ning Fan's aura force. He performed a hand seal, and a sovereign's shadow suddenly appeared behind him. This sovereign's shadow still did not have a face, but it grew to 10 zhang tall from 10 zhang tall. Its color also changed from pale gold to pure gold. Ning Fan stomped on the ground, and the ground immediately trembled. A trace of sovereign chi swirled around his body. I succeeded. His eyes were calm. He knew that he would succeed, because if he fails, he would keep trying until he succeeds. The passage to the blood dragon pool had already been opened. Now Ning Fan could leave the pool at any time. Ning Fan held the rain sovereign token in his hand and pointed at it indifferently. A ray of golden light went into the token. Under the activation of the sovereign chi, his figure suddenly disappeared from the 3rd level and reappeared on the 2nd level. With his eyes that had condensed sovereign chi, he could naturally see that the rain sovereign token had the ability to leave the pool at any time. However, he did not leave immediately. Instead, he appeared in front of an early void refinement realm ferocious beast on the 2nd level of the swamp. His eyes were indifferent. He did not summon his void refinement realm spiritual puppet, nor did he take out his blood dragon demon sword. He just wanted to confront the beast with his sovereign chi. Roar! The void refinement realm ferocious beast panicked a little when it saw Ning Fan appearing out of nowhere. However, it calmed down immediately. It could not understand why an early void refinement realm being like it would lose its composure when facing a divine transformation realm being. It could not understand why an early void refinement realm being like it would lose its composure when facing a divine transformation realm being. Roar! Very soon it got rid of its fear. It was a void refinement realm being. Why would it be afraid of a divine transformation realm being? This is ridiculous. It opened its mouth and spat out a ray of natal green lightning. In an instant, it turned into 1 million rays of lightning, as if it was going to engulf Ning Fan. In the past, Ning Fan could only evade such terrifying lightning. Even if he uses his incarnation to block it, he would still suffer severe injuries. This time, however, Ning Fan would not evade it. With a flick of his finger, a ray of golden light shot out and soared into the sky like a flying dragon. As soon as the golden light soared into the sky, It immediately split into 1,000,000 rays, and turned into countless rays of golden light that covered the entire sky. The golden rays of light slowly condensed into a gigantic golden mountain that was 10,000 zhang tall. That gigantic mountain pressed down on the void refinement realm ferocious beast's head. As soon as the 1,000,000 rays of green lightning touched the golden mountain, they all collapsed and dissipated. Its falling speed was even faster than the traveling speed of a late void refinement realm cultivator. The void refinement realm ferocious beast had no way to evade it at all. Boom! As soon as the golden mountain pressed down, the ferocious beast's spine was crushed. Its blood flowed like a river as it fell to the ground and died. As for that suppressive force, it directly caused the second level of the blood pool to shake violently. Countless void refinement realm ferocious beasts began to panic. All the ferocious beasts whose cultivation bases were lower than the mid-void refinement realm looked at Ning Fan with unprecedented shock. All of them hid in a corner, afraid that Ning Fan would appear out of nowhere again to suppress them. Terrifying. It's too terrifying. That gigantic golden mountain killed a void refinement realm ferocious beast just by pressing down. Its destructive power was too terrifying. Is this the power of sovereign qi? A single trace of sovereign qi is enough to kill an early void refinement realm expert. If there are 10 traces, 100 traces, 1,000 traces, or even 10,000 traces, how destructive would its destructive power be? Sovereign qi is an offensive technique among the 3 void fragmentation realm techniques. Ning Fan dispersed his sovereign qi. With just a casual glance, he scared the beasts away. The suppression of this trace of sovereign qi by the golden mountain had nearly exhausted all of his magic power. Even though sovereign qi was powerful, its consumption was also huge. After keeping the void refinement realm dragon blood, Ning Fan clenched his fists tightly. Today, he killed an early void refinement realm expert for the first time with his own strength. Today he was at the void refinement realm. In the future, he would be at the void fragmentation realm. The day he killed Moksha Sovereign with his own hands wouldn't be too far away. Time to go. The group of demonic beasts had already gathered and Ning Fan's magic power had been depleted. It would be difficult for him to instantly kill the other void refinement realm beasts. There was no point in staying here any longer. It was more important to return to the Dragon Lake and complete Senior Yun's test. If Ning Fan returns late, no one knew if Yin Tianjue would lose the bet. He didn't want to see Yin Tianjue's furious expression after losing his beloved sword. As soon as he activated the Rain Sovereign's token, Ning Fan's figure gradually faded and disappeared from the second floor. The Rain Palace of the Middle State was in an uproar. In the ancestral temple of the Rain Palace, the giant statue of the Rain Ancestor that was worshipped day and night shone with golden light. Tens of millions of miles of land in the Middle Continent were covered in golden clouds. As a cultivator of the Middle Continent, it was impossible for him to not know the meaning behind such a phenomenon. The new Rain Emperor had been born. But how could this be possible? The current Rain Emperor had yet to pass away, so how could a new Rain Emperor be born? Who condensed sovereign qi? Was it Yin Xiaoxiang or Yin Tianjue? The Rain Sovereign gathered countless experts of the Middle State and questioned them the moment he opened his mouth. It seemed like even he did not understand why the statue of the Rain Ancestor would show such an unusual phenomenon. Even though he did not know the reason, he could guess that someone in the Rain world must have condensed sovereign qi using the Sovereign Rain primordial art. Otherwise, the statue of the Rain Ancestor would not show such an unusual phenomenon. Who could it be? Yin Xiaoxiang was the second prince, and also the biological son of the current Rain Sovereign. If Yin Xiaoxiang condensed sovereign qi, the Rain Sovereign would certainly be happy. However, if it was Yin Tianjue, he was not the biological son of the Rain Sovereign. He became the divine son with his own strength. If he condensed sovereign qi, wouldn't it mean that he would definitely become the next Rain Sovereign? Although the Rain Sovereign did not say it out loud, he certainly did not want the Rain Palace to fall into the hands of outsiders. Yin Xiaoxiang had yet to return from his travels, and Yin Tianjue seemed to be in the Dragon Deciding Valley. If it was not Yin Tianjue who condensed the sovereign qi, it was most likely Yin Xiaoxiang. Father, the one who condensed the sovereign qi is certainly not Yin Tianjue. When I fought with him a month ago, his strength had already recovered to the fourth heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. He was extremely strong. However, his attacks were still filled with terrifying baleful qi. It's definitely not the graceful demeanor of a sovereign cultivator. He certainly doesn't have the sovereign qi on him. Yin Jinghong clasped his fists as he spoke. He was also the son of the Rain Emperor. There were still wounds on his face. Surprisingly, they were inflicted by Yin Tianjue's myriad sword style. He was unwilling to see Yin Tianjue become the next divine emperor, so he was trying his best to prove that Yin Tianjue had not condensed the sovereign qi. Although he harbored ill intentions, he did not lie. Yin Tianjue had never condensed sovereign qi before. If it's not Tianju, then it must be Xiaoxiang. The Rain Emperor's expression relaxed. If it was Yin Xiaoxiang, then not only was this not some grievous news, it was instead a good thing. Not me. Just as the Rain Emperor smiled, a cold voice traveled over from outside the palace. It was none other than Yin Xiaoxiang, who had just returned from a long journey. It's not him, it's not him. His words stunned all the cultivators of the Middle Continent. Could they be the four great void fragmentation realm experts? Impossible. The four great void fragmentation realm experts have special identities, but none of them have the qualifications to comprehend the sovereign qi. Even Chu Chang, and had only condensed half a trace of the sovereign qi, and it was given to him by the late emperor. Apart from Yin Tianjue and Yin Xiaoxiang, no one else among the 6 princes possessed the aptitude to condense monarch qi. If it wasn't Yin Tianjue or Yin Xiaoxiang, who could it be? Or could it be that the statue of the Rain Ancestor had malfunctioned and was broken? That phenomenon, was it because something was wrong with the ancestral statue? No one dared to say that the statue of the Rain Ancestor was broken. That was treason. In an instant, a sudden storm swept across the Middle State, and even spread to the entire Rain world. Who is the true God Emperor of the human world? Chapter 397. With the Rain Sovereign's token, Ning Fan's figure disappeared from the 2nd floor and returned to the 13th swamp on the 1st floor. Summoning Yu Chong, he removed the plucking finger's power and pulled her into his embrace, quietly waiting for her to wake up. With a soft moan, Yu Chong slowly woke up. The first thing she saw was Ning Fan's detestable face. Before she was fully awake, she subconsciously bit Ning Fan's shoulder and mumbled something in her sleep. "Zhou Ming, you bully me. You knocked me out. You're shameless." After scolding him, the little girl closed her eyes and leaned on Ning Fan's shoulder to fall asleep. She even stretched out her arms and wrapped them around Ning Fan's neck, as if she was hugging a pillow. Ning Fan instantly felt speechless. This little girl seems to hate me. Moreover, she seems to hate me so much that she can't forget about me. What did she treat Ning Fan as? A bed? A pillow? You can sleep with me and bite me as you please? Yu Chong, I'll give you 3 breaths. Wake up quickly, Ning Fan said indifferently. So noisy. Can't you let me sleep? Yu Chong rubbed her eyes and gradually regained consciousness. When Yu Chong saw that she was actually curling up in Ning Fan's embrace in an extremely ambiguous manner, and had even wrapped her arms around his neck, her face immediately turned as red as blood. "Zhou Ming, you're shameless. You knocked me out and took advantage of me." "I took advantage of you?" Ning Fan was so angry that he laughed. This little girl must have a bad memory. She was the one who forcefully kissed him. She was the one who used him as a pillow and refused to get up. Did Ning Fan take advantage of a copper coin from her? Who knows if you did something to me while I was asleep? Yu Chong retorted. Then she struggled out of Ning Fan's embrace and hid at the side as if she was fleeing. After carefully inspecting his clothes and confirming that there were no signs of him taking them off, he used his divine sense to check his body. Only after confirming that his primordial Yin was still present did he heave a sigh of relief. Fortunately, there were no signs of Ning Fan sleeping with her. At least Ning Fan still has some humanity left. Ning Fan saw all of her expressions, leaving him speechless. If Ning Fan wants to pluck a divine transformation realm cultivator, does he need to knock them unconscious? You're awake? Alright then, let's go. Where to? Find your brother. You've been unconscious for 9 days. Today is the day you leave. No, I don't dare to go. After hearing Ning Fan's words, Yu Cheng immediately felt a lingering fear. She didn't dare to look for her brother. Her impulsiveness had caused Yu Bai and the others to be in danger. She didn't dare to imagine how much her brother would hate her. What are you afraid of? You went to the forest of king beasts to steal medicinal herbs, and escaped from the mouths of void refinement realm ferocious beasts. Why? So you Yu Cheng are so timid? Don't you dare to go back and accept the punishment for your mistakes? Ning Fan stared at Yu Cheng deeply and tried to provoke her. No. I'm not afraid of being punished. I'm just afraid that Big Brother will hate me. Yu Cheng pursed her lips as her face turned slightly pale. She was not afraid of death or punishment. She was only afraid that her big brother would hate her for the rest of his life. You even dared to bite me. Are you afraid that your brother will hate you? Bah, I didn't bite you. So my shoulder was bitten by a dog. You are shameless. Yu Cheng retorted. She did not notice that her initial fear had faded a lot after hearing Ning Fan's words. When she thought about it carefully, she realized that she had made a mistake after all. Fortunately, Ning Fan had saved her big brother and the others. At least, she still had a chance to make up for her mistake. She rolled her eyes at Ning Fan. Then she patted her storage pouch and took out a jade pendant. She seemed to be able to determine the direction of Yu Bai and the others with the help of the pendant. Zhou Ming, you're right. I shouldn't be afraid. Even if Big Brother hates me, I still have to go back and apologize to him. Thank you for saving me and protecting me along the way. You should leave the Blood Dragon pool first. I want to meet up with Big Brother. Yu Cheng raised her head. Her fine black hair fluttered in the air and shone brightly. Ning Fan nodded his head. This lady is not a bad person since she is brave enough to admit her mistakes. His previous words were just to test this woman's character. He grabbed Yu Cheng's wrist and pulled her into his arms. He did not give her the chance to leave alone. Ning Fan moved his body and dashed towards a certain direction in the 13th swamp. Yu Cheng was stunned. At the next moment, she realized that Ning Fan had taken advantage of her again. Let go of me. Where are you bringing me? She resisted with a low voice. However, her struggle was not intense. After all, she had stayed in his arms for more than 10 days. She had long gotten used to it. I'll send you back. With my face, no one will blame you too much. Ning Fan did not say anything else. He moved like a wisp of smoke and flew across the 13th swamp. To the blood demons in the 13th swamp, his chi was a nightmare. Any beast that smelled his chi would prostrate on the ground and shiver in fear. Yu Cheng felt a lump in her throat. Judging from Ning Fan's words, he was obviously trying to pressure the other revered elders so that they would no longer pursue Yu Cheng's wrongdoings. Yu Cheng's heart felt warm and her heart skipped a beat. Other than her mother, her elder brother and her master, Ning Fan was the first person who treated her well. Thank you. Her voice was very soft. Perhaps Ning Fan did not hear it. With Ning Fan's speed, he arrived at the place where Yu Bai and the others were recuperating in just the time it takes for an incense stick to burn. Yu Bai and the others had yet to leave. All of this was naturally because Ning Fan had not returned from searching for his younger sister on his behalf. In the 13th swamp, most of the wild beasts were already dead. The 12 revered elders were in seclusion at the same time. Thus there was basically no danger. In the temporary abode, the 12 of them were busy recuperating. No one was talking to each other. When they sensed the presence of 2 divine transformation realm chi outside the abode, the expressions of all the revered elders changed. They looked like birds that were startled by the mere twang of a bowstring. If the wild beasts were to attack them, even though they were not afraid, they would inevitably have a tough battle. Fortunately, they soon realized that the 2 chi were very familiar. One of them was Yu Cheng, while the other was Ning Fan. Revered Ming is back. The revered elder in hemp robes suddenly stood up with a fiery gaze. The group of them walked out of the abode. When they saw Ning Fan smiling as usual and completely unscathed, the respect in the eyes of the revered elder in hemp robes became even stronger. He had seen Ning Fan enter the 2nd floor with his own eyes. One should know that the 2nd floor was a dangerous place where void refinement realm beasts ran amok. He did not expect that not only was Ning Fan unscathed after entering the second floor, he even saved Yu Chong. This kind of strength was really admirable. However, when their gazes fell upon Yu Chong, the expressions of all the revered elders became a little unnatural. It was all because of Yu Chong that they were trapped in a dangerous place that day. Thus, they naturally hated Yu Chong to the core. After that day, Ning Fan eliminated all the beasts and went to the second floor alone. As for Yu Bai and the others, they returned to the forest of Beast King and collected a lot of spiritual herbs. In that place, Yu Bai and the others found traces of blood dragon moss, but they realized that it had already been plucked by someone. Immediately, Yu Bai understood the reason behind it. The reason why Yu Chong recklessly went to the forest of Beast King to steal the spiritual herbs was actually because of the blood dragon moss. This blood dragon moss was her only hope to save her mother. If Yu Bai was in her shoes and found out that there were blood dragon moss in this forest, he would also come to steal the spiritual herbs at all costs. He told the other revered elders about Yu Chong's motive. All of them fell silent. As the saying goes, filial piety is the most important of all virtues. Yu Chong was eager to save her mother, but she did not mean to get herself into trouble. Besides, none of them died. As such, their original hatred towards her faded away. However, there was still a sense of blame. If Yu Chong had discussed the matter of stealing the spiritual herbs with everyone, and they would have acted together, she certainly would not have caused so much trouble. At the end of the day, Yu Chong was still in the wrong. However, her mistake could still be forgiven. Greetings to revered Ming. The 12 revered elders straightened their backs and cupped their fists towards Ning Fan. Their eyes were filled with respect from the bottom of their hearts. If it wasn't for Ning Fan, they would have already died in the mouth of the king beast. This was a kindness that they could not easily forget. Brother Yu, I've already saved your sister, you don't have to worry anymore. Ning Fan loosened his embrace, allowing the siblings to reunite. Yu Bai's eyes were filled with joy, but when he remembered that Yu Chong had made a mistake, his face immediately turned cold. Yu Chong averted her gaze. However, when she recalled how she had solemnly vowed in front of Ning Fan that she would return and admit her mistake, she no longer cowered. She raised her head and bowed apologetically to the 12 venerated elders. I've implicated all of you in danger. I deserve to die 10,000 times for my crime. Fellow Taoists, if you have any punishment, feel free to state it clearly. Humph. One of the revered elders snorted coldly. It was clear that he was still rather resentful towards Yu Chong. However, just as he let out a snort, he was shocked to see Ning Fan taking a step forward and pulling Yu Chong into his arms. Give me some face. He didn't explain too much, just a short sentence. However, all of the revered elders on the scene were smart people. When they saw the intimate action between Ning Fan and Yu Chong, and heard his words, how could they not understand what he meant? Ning Fan was pleading for Yu Chong. The 12 revered elders of the Serene Heaven Palace had to give him face. Even if everyone did not know that the reason why Yu Chong made the mistake was to save her mother, they still had to forgive her for Ning Fan's sake. This matter is written off. The linen-robed old man was the first to speak, and soon after, the revered elders of the Serene Heaven Palace followed suit. Even the revered elder, who had snorted discontentedly, put away all his discontented emotions and sighed with mixed feelings. It seems like Yu Chong, is Ning Fan's woman. He couldn't touch this woman. He couldn't provoke her. Yu Bai was stunned. Ning Fan had helped Yu Chong, out of her predicament with just a sentence. He was very grateful for that. However, he never knew that Ning Fan and Yu Chong had such a close relationship. Yu Chong's heart trembled. Once again, she was protected by Ning Fan. She had committed a grave mistake. Even if she could avoid the death penalty, she would not be able to escape punishment. However, all the guilt was erased by Ning Fan's words. Give me face. What a domineering man. Who would dare to not give him face? Perhaps because her mind was in a mess, Yu Chong, who had always rejected Ning Fan, did not resist his hug this time. None of the revered elders mentioned anything about Yu Chong's mistake. After chatting with Ning Fan for a while, they continued to chat happily and left the blood dragon pool together. Yu Chong, curled up in Ning Fan's arms. Looking at Ning Fan's harmless smile, she could not help but feel a little speechless. Today, she had finally witnessed what it meant to eat both the righteous and the evil. He was obviously a devil cultivator, who killed without batting an eyelid, but he could still have a pleasant conversation with a group of cultivators from the righteous path. Moreover, he could even make a group of old devils from the righteous path admire him. This was simply too unreasonable. Humph! She curled up in Ning Fan's arms and let out a soft snort in dissatisfaction. Then her ears turned hot and her face turned red. It was because Ning Fan blew a breath of hot air into her ear mischievously, and said in a low voice, "Yu Chong, you owe me one again. I will definitely pay you back." Yu Chong was a little lacking in confidence. She had already given Ning Fan her insect's sovereign blood, and the heaven-deceiving cloak. It seemed like she did not have any good things to give him anymore. Could it be that I can only repay him with my body? She felt a slight headache. Luckily, Ning Fan did not ask her how she was going to pay him back this time. It made her feel slightly relieved. However, when she thought that she would probably be separated from Ning Fan when she returned to the Blood Dragon pool, she felt a little disappointed. Yu Chong. Soft buttocks were pinched by a large hand that was separated by the silver armor. All of a sudden Yu Chong's delicate body tensed up. Her beautiful eyes were filled with anger and embarrassment. The one who pinched her buttocks was obviously Ning Fan. "You're shameless." Humph. Yu Chong was sulking. Her buttocks were touched. It would be strange if she could remain calm. She actually felt sad about parting because of such a shameless and lecherous person. She was really too stupid. When Ning Fan saw Yu Chong revert to the disgusted expression she had when they first met, he smiled and said nothing. "That's good. To avoid fragmentation realm old monsters, 1 month's time was nothing more than a single session of meditation." Yin Tianjue and Chu Chang were both meditating. The difference was that the former was sleeping peacefully while the latter looked a little dejected. "I've lost." Chu Chang knew that he was most likely going to lose the bet he had with Yin Tianjue. 21 Beast Kings and 3 Void Refinement Realm Blood Demons had died. If all of these were done by Ning Fan, then the amount of dragon blood he had obtained would probably be more than 50 pots. Collecting 50 pots of dragon blood in a month was an absurd task even for half-step Void Refinement Realm cultivators. However, Ning Fan seemed to have done it. He was holding a golden lamp in his hand. Inside the golden lamp, there was a bright yellow flame. It was the 6th grade Void Flame, the Serene Palace Buddha Fire. This flame was the guardian flame of the Serene Heaven Palace. Even when revered Yin came to ask for it, Chu Chang did not hand it over. Could it be that it would have a new owner today? No. Perhaps I won't lose the bet. Even though that Zhou Ming has killed a lot of people, he might not have killed all 500 Divine Transformation Realm Blood Demons. Perhaps he only killed the Beast Kings of the first floor, and did not kill the other blood demons. Chu Chang comforted himself even though he also understood that he was just deceiving himself. 1 month had passed. Rays of traveling light broke through the surface of the water. There were 14 rays of traveling light. All of them were the revered elders of the Serene Heaven Palace. Of course, there was also Ning Fan. Seeing that even though the Divine Transformation Realm cultivators of his palace were injured, their lives were not in danger, Chu Chang heaved a sigh of relief. The death rate in the Blood Dragon pool was still very high. Even though he had purposely teleported all the Divine Transformation Realm cultivators of his palace to the same place, it was inevitable that 1 or 2 of them would die. It would be best if no one died. As for how much dragon blood these people could obtain, it was secondary. Having a life and death experience would greatly benefit everyone's cultivation. Chu Chang was only concerned about how much dragon blood a person had collected. His eyes fell on Ning Fan with hesitation and inquisitiveness. "Little friend, how was your harvest? It should be difficult to collect 50 pots of dragon blood, right?" "It's indeed difficult." Ning Fan nodded and let go of Yu Chong, who was so embarrassed that she wanted to die, ignoring the latter's murderous expression. "Oh, could it be that little friend hasn't collected 50 pots of dragon blood?" As soon as Chu Chang heard Ning Fan saying that it was difficult, he was overjoyed. Judging from Ningfan's tone, he probably did not collect enough dragon blood. However, just as his smile rose, he saw Ningfan patting his storage pouch. Pots of dragon blood immediately appeared on the ground. There were actually more than 100 pots. 117 pots of dragon blood. You collected all of these within a month. Chu Chang found it hard to believe. Fortunately, I didn't fail you. Ningfan nodded and cupped his fists at Yun Tianjue. Yun Tianjue, who had been meditating with his eyes closed for a month, finally opened his eyes. His cold eyes carried a hint of approval. You've done well. Elder Chu, you've lost. He stood up and carried the giant sword on his back again. Yun Tianjue's gaze swept across Chu Chang of course Chu Chang, and knew what he meant. Chu Chang gritted his teeth. His face was filled with pain. He took out a golden lamp. A bright yellow flame was flickering in the lamp. With a flick of his finger, the flame flew out of the golden lamp and drifted towards Yun Tianjue. After losing the serene palace Buddha flame, the golden lamp was immediately extinguished. Yun Tianjue flicked his sleeve and a suction force came into his palm. Without even looking at it, he directly threw it to Ningfan. Together with the flame, there was also a golden token. You've passed the test. This is your reward. Reward? Ningfan's eyes widened. He caught the golden token and the flame. That golden token was naturally the revered Elder Golden Token that Yun Tianjue promised him. With this token, Ningfan could freely enter the 800 cultivation countries of the Rain World. It was his reward for passing the test. It was not surprising at all. However, the Serene Palace Buddha flame was not what Yun Tianjue promised him. When Yun Tianjue used his beloved sword to bet Chu Chang's void flame, Ningfan already had some doubts. Yun Tianjue's divine ability only had the word sword. What was the use of the flame? Using his beloved sword to bet on a useless flame was unreasonable. At this moment, Ningfan finally understood that Yun Tianjue had probably decided to win the flame and give it to Ningfan at the beginning of the bet. Why? Ningfan frowned. He did not like to receive favors from others or owe them favors. After receiving so many benefits from Yun Tianjue for no reason, it was inevitable for him to have doubts. If you don't want it, just throw it away. Yun Tianjue's eyes turned cold. Why would he care whether you want something that he gave you? As a matter of fact, even he himself did not understand why someone as cold as him would have a good impression of Ningfan and give him a chance. Perhaps it was because Ningfan's confident smile was very similar to someone. That smile could move Yun Tianjue's cold heart. Who is it? Who is it? Yun Tianjue clenched his fists. One day, he would get his memories back. He abandoned his emotions to cultivate the sword. His memories were erased by the heavenly Tao Samsara. This was the price he had to pay for turning into a devil with a sword. He wanted to get his memories back. In the Rain World, there was only one secret technique that could retrieve the memories that were erased by the heavenly Tao. It was the White Lightning Memory Extinguishing Technique of Thunder Sovereign Buzhou. He had used the immortal trapping sword and even seized many famous swords from the 800 cultivation countries, just to head to the sovereign tomb to fight against the Thunder Sovereign, and seize the White Lightning technique. I'll give you 1 day to settle the karma of this place. 1 day later, you will return to the endless sea. Yun Tianjue did not want to say anything else. He turned around and was about to leave. At the moment he turned around, 2 rays of dazzling golden sound-transmitting flying swords pierced through the air and flew towards him. The sound-transmitting flying swords had a trace of golden chi in the shape of a dragon. It allowed the flying swords to travel a terrifying distance. It was impossible for Ningfan not to recognize that golden chi. That was the sovereign chi. Sovereign sound flying swords. Could it be that the Rain Sovereign has sent me an order? Chu Chang's expression changed. He thought to himself, what happened in the middle state that made the Rain Sovereign personally send a message to a void fragmentation realm expert? Yun Tianjue's eyes also flickered slightly. He received the flying swords without saying a word. All the content of the message was directly transmitted into the sea of consciousness of the 2 void fragmentation realm experts. As soon as he heard the content of the message, Chu Chang's expression changed greatly. Even Yun Tianjue's expression changed. Sovereign Qi. Someone has condensed the sovereign Qi. The rain world had a new divine sovereign. Someone had used the divine sovereign cultivation technique, sovereign rain primordial art, to condense a trace of sovereign Qi. This matter was of great importance. The rain sovereign ordered Yun Tianjue and Chu Chang and to return to the rain palace as soon as possible to investigate this matter. Elder Chu's words made the group of revered elders look at each other in confusion. Only Ning Fan vaguely understood that the matter that shocked the rain sovereign, Elder Chu and Yun Tianjue, was related to him condensing the sovereign Qi. Moreover, judging from the serious expression of the two void fragmentation realm experts, it seemed like it was not a good thing for the Rain Palace. Did I threaten the throne of the Rain Sovereign? If that's the case, once Ning Fan reveals the sovereign Qi, he would probably face a great calamity that would shock the world. I must never reveal the sovereign Qi. Ning Fan made up his mind. Even if the sovereign Qi had the power to suppress void refinement realm experts, he must not use it recklessly, unless he had the power to protect himself that the Rain Sovereign was afraid of. Otherwise, a disaster would certainly befall him. It seemed like the Rain world would not be peaceful anymore. Chapter 398. Within a day, Ning Fan decided to stay in the Dragon Deciding Valley for the time being. After bidding farewell to Yu Bai and the others, he dismissed the guests and stayed in his room alone. Yu Cheng was still full of complaints. Whenever she was free, she would quarrel with Ning Fan. However, Ning Fan was obviously preoccupied and did not pay any attention to her. Outside the room, the bright moon hung high in the sky. Inside the room, Ning Fan sat alone on a cushion with a jade slip in his hand. He was shocked. That jade slip was the information he obtained from Snow Country. Not long after Elder Chu and Yun Tianjue obtained the Sovereign Sound Flying Sword, the news that shook the entire Middle State had spread across the entire country. The ancestral statue had a strange phenomenon. Golden rays of light covered the sky. A new sovereign was born. In the Rain world, many forces had mobilized all their forces to find out the whereabouts of the new sovereign. Some of them were plotting against the new sovereign in order to welcome him. Some of them were preparing to assassinate the new sovereign to please the Rain sovereign. Assassinate? Ning Fan frowned. He just condensed his sovereign Qi. He did not have the intention to compete with the Rain sovereign for the throne at all. However, it seemed like the tiger had the intention to harm the man. Things were developing in the direction that Ning Fan was most worried about. The Rain sovereign could not tolerate Ning Fan. If he finds out that Ning Fan had the sovereign Qi, he might kill him. Fortunately, Ning Fan had refined the heaven-deceiving cloak. This treasure had the effect of shielding him from heaven's secrets. In addition, the sovereign Qi itself could shield him from divination. Ordinary people would not be able to divine Ning Fan's whereabouts. Unless it was an expert who was proficient in divination like Dong Su, who had the blood of a true immortal, he would only be able to divine some clues. Dong Su would not harm Ning Fan. However, he did not know if there were any experts in the Tao of divination like Dong Su in the Rain Palace. Ning Fan's eyes darkened. He had to be on guard against this. From today onwards, he must not display his sovereign Qi in front of others. Not only that, he also needed to find a way to protect himself as soon as possible to prevent others from divining his whereabouts. After I condensed my sovereign Qi, I created a sovereign Qi technique, which instantly killed a void refinement realm ferocious beast. However, I did not expect that this technique would have to be temporarily sealed after being used once. I have just thought of the name of this technique. It's really a pity that it has to be sealed now. Ning Fan smiled bitterly and shook his head. A sovereign Qi to suppress an immortal, and a sovereign Qi to suppress a void refinement realm. This technique was majestic and domineering. However, it could not be shown to others unless Ning Fan had a void fragmentation realm expert to protect him. Yun Tianjue was a member of the Rain Palace after all. Besides, he was not related to Ning Fan at all. Ning Fan was afraid that he would not be able to ask him to protect him. Since Mei Chun was still in the Demon Sinister Forest, it was unlikely that they would be able to invite her. The only person Ning Fan could rely on was probably Luo Yu. I've been too busy with mundane affairs lately. I should help little Yu, or recover her soul as soon as possible. Without a void fragmentation realm guardian, I can't feel at ease. Ningfan's mind became more and more restless. He had a feeling that something bad would happen tonight. Ever since he obtained the purple karmic luck, his perception of the heavenly Tao had become even more acute. It was indeed not normal for him to be so uneasy. It was better to help Luo Yu recover as soon as possible. With a thought, Ningfan's figure gradually faded and reappeared in the profound Yin world. He had obtained many good things on this trip. The heavenly frost cold chi ranked 3rd, the divine cold soul, a 6th grade void fire that was stronger than the earth vein demonic fire, the serene palace Buddha fire, 120 bottles of dragon blood, a divine transformation realm Tao fruit. It was a pity that the blood demon was not a real living being. Otherwise, he would have obtained a lot of Tao fruits from this massacre. Ningfan did not have the time to deal with these good things at the moment. He patted his storage pouch and took out 207 spirit consolidating pills. All of them were concocted in the Lost World Tower. With a flash, he entered the thatched cottage in the profound Yin world. Luo Yu was still sleeping on the bed. Her primordial spirit was still rather illusory. Such a fragile body could not withstand the medicinal power of a 5th revolution pill. If she consumes too many spirit consolidating pills at once, it would probably damage her primordial spirit. Even though he desired Luo Yu's help, he could not bear to let her get hurt. Ningfan gradually gave up on the idea of forcefully waking Luo Yu up. He kept most of the spirit consolidating pills, leaving only 12 of them. He dissolved them with clean water and helped the sleeping Luo Yu into his arms. Then he carefully fed the medicinal liquid to her cherry lips. Ningfan was not a despicable person. However, he would not let Luo Yu, his benefactor, get hurt just because of an unknown danger. Bitter. In her sleep, Luo Yu's brows knitted together as if she was unwilling to drink the pill because it was too bitter. Then she willfully spat out some of it. Ningfan's eyes revealed a strange expression. This Luo Yu was an expert at the same level as Yuan Yao. She was at least a true immortal realm expert. A dignified true immortal realm expert. Yet she behaved like a delicate young lady when she was sleeping. It was really unimaginable. Perhaps many years ago, Luo Yu was also a young mistress of an aristocratic family. Her 10 fingers did not have to do any dirty work. However, he did not know why such a delicate young mistress would choose to cultivate a shameless cultivation method like the yin-yang transformation. Moreover, she even took the risk to obtain the yin-yang locket's acknowledgement. Cold. Luo Yu's primordial spirit became even more illusory. Her body became even colder. She gently hugged her shoulders and shivered slightly in Ningfan's arms. Under her snow-white clothes, her fair neck gave off an alluring fragrance. Below her neck, 2 voluptuous mounds could be vaguely seen. A trace of lustful power spread out from Luo Yu's body, nearly bewitching Ningfan's mind. Ningfan quickly adjusted his state of mind, and no longer dared to peek at her alluring body. Looking at Luo Yu's pure and flawless sleeping face, his heart softened. He took out several types of 10,000 years old spiritual fruits with a sweet and sour taste, and mixed them into the medicinal liquid, making the originally bitter medicinal liquid taste sweet. Drink it. It's not bitter anymore. As if he was coaxing a child, he fed her the medicinal liquid again. After tasting the slightly sweet medicinal liquid, Luo Yu obediently drank it and no longer resisted. Her illusory primordial spirit became more and more solid. Her cold and delicate body gradually regained some warmth. After helping Luo Yu wipe off the medicinal liquid from the corner of her mouth, Ningfan placed her back on the bed and covered her with a thin blanket. His palm gently caressed her sleeping face. He did not know what he was feeling. This lady had accompanied Ningfan throughout his journey and they had gone through countless dangers. Without her, Ningfan would probably have died a few times already. In the past, the weak Ningfan needed her protection time and time again. Today, Ningfan could already protect himself and travel freely in the rain world. This time, it was Ningfan's turn to protect Luo Yu. Rumble. While Ningfan was taking care of Luo Yu, the earth and mountains in the profound Yin world suddenly shook. Ningfan was shocked. An extremely uneasy feeling shrouded his heart. Immediately, he rushed out of the thatched cottage and looked at the dusky sky of the profound Yin world. His expression changed greatly. Above the blue dome of heaven, a pitch-black crack suddenly appeared. That crack eventually turned into a gigantic pitch-black eyeball. The eyeball had just been formed. It was still empty and had no focus. It could not see Ningfan's face clearly. Moreover, the chaotic yin qi in the profound yin world made it even harder for the eyeball to see Ningfan's face clearly. Even so, the eyeball still managed to see Ningfan's blurry figure. I found you. The new divine sovereign. Hissed out. A cold qi poured down from his head and spread to his entire body. Ningfan's expression changed greatly. He recognized what this pitch-black eyeball was. The heavenly eye. According to rumors, when the divination technique is cultivated to its peak, one could open the heavenly eye. If the heavenly eye is opened, one could even peek at the heavenly secrets that were concealed by others. Judging from the words of the owner of the heavenly eye, this person was obviously coming for Ningfan. His goal was to become the new divine sovereign of the Rain world. His eyes were filled with killing intent. His intentions are not good. After thinking for a while, Ningfan gradually realized that even though the pitch-black eyeball was the heavenly eye technique, it seemed to have yet to be cultivated to perfection. The eye was lifeless and he could not see his appearance at all. Judging from the aura force of this pitch-black eyeball, the owner of this technique seemed to be a half-step void refinement realm cultivator. His cultivation base was similar to that of a Dongsu realm cultivator, but slightly stronger. Ningfan's heart sank. It seemed like this mysterious cultivator, who used the heavenly eye technique to spy on Ningfan, was a revered elder of the Rain Palace who was proficient in divination. He was probably following the order of the Rain Sovereign to investigate his whereabouts so that he could kill him. Thinking of this, Ningfan felt even more fortunate. The timing of this mysterious revered elder to spy on Ningfan was not good. It happened to be when Ningfan entered the profound yin world. The profound yin world was a medium-sized world. Other than ancient chaos, no one had ever entered it before. Since Ningfan was staying here, the owner of the heavenly eye would certainly not know where Ningfan came from, and where he was. If Ningfan did not enter the profound yin world tonight, the owner of the heavenly eye would probably see through Ningfan in the Dragon Deciding Valley. At that time, even if he could not see Ningfan's appearance clearly, he would certainly find out Ningfan's identity through the terrain of the Dragon Deciding Valley. Two tigers cannot live on the same mountain. Ningfan, the new sovereign of the Rain world, would probably be killed immediately. The purple luck was indeed not bad. It helped Ningfan avoid calamity by pursuing good fortune. Just as Ningfan expected, since the heavenly eye could not see Ningfan's appearance clearly, it tried to see the surrounding terrain. The owner of the heavenly eye knew the terrain of the Rain world like the back of his hand. As long as Ningfan is in any place in the Rain world, he would be able to determine Ningfan's whereabouts through the terrain. At that time, he would certainly send a few void fragmentation realm experts to assassinate Ningfan. Unfortunately, this place was the profound yin world. It was a world that the owner of the heavenly eye had never seen before. A medium-sized world. There's no mistake. This place is a medium-sized world treasure. The owner of the heavenly eye was a little shocked. He could not see Ningfan's appearance clearly, nor could he see his cultivation base. The only thing he could see was Ningfan's rough figure. He could tell that this place was a medium-sized world. However, he could not imagine what kind of expert would possess a medium-sized world treasure. Even in the Rain Immortal world, the entire world was just a small kiliocosm. This profound yin world was bigger than the entire Rain Immortal world. Even true immortals might not necessarily have a medium-sized world treasure. Normally, only immortal emperors were qualified to possess such a supreme treasure, and use it to control the life and death of a world. Strange. Strange. The owner of the heavenly eye was puzzled. Wasn't the person he wanted to find and kill the new divine sovereign of the Rain Immortal world? Why would he track a mysterious expert who possessed a medium-sized world treasure? Who exactly are you? What are you trying to do to my Rain Immortal world? A cold and old voice resounded from the heavenly eye, interrogating Ningfan. Ningfan would not answer. He was not stupid. The owner of the heavenly eye could not see his appearance clearly, and could not determine where he was. He might not even be certain that Ningfan was in the Rain Immortal world. The owner of the heavenly eye did not have any ulterior motives when he asked the question. In fact, he just wanted to find out Ning Fan's voice. With his voice around, it would be much easier to track Ning Fan. Ning Fan was not a fool. Before he destroys the heavenly eye of the owner of the heavenly eye, he would not make a sound. That's right. He wanted to destroy this person's heavenly eye. He wanted to completely destroy this person's immature heavenly eye to prevent any future troubles. It would be troublesome to avoid being spied on by this heavenly eye the next time Ning Fan leaves the profound Yin world. He wanted to destroy this heavenly eye. Moreover, he could not use any of the methods he had used in the past to prevent the owner of the heavenly eye from finding out Ning Fan's identity. He could not use the wind mist finger and the wind snow finger. He could not use the 5 burial dragon techniques and the 3 fire palms. All of his secret techniques and abilities could not be used. However, Ning Fan still had a method that could destroy the heavenly eye without exposing his identity. The immortal subduing technique. The heavenly eye came for the sovereign qi in the first place. Thus, there was no need for Ning Fan to conceal his sovereign qi. Using the sovereign qi to kill the heavenly eye, and let the owner of the heavenly eye suffer the consequences of his own actions was the best choice. From today onwards, Ning Fan would never display his sovereign qi in front of anyone. Who would know that the person whom the Rain Sovereign personally sent to track and assassinate was actually him? Ning Fan took a step in the void. His body shone with golden light and his sovereign qi soared. As soon as the sovereign qi appeared, Ning Fan's killing intent locked onto the heavenly eye. In an instant, the heavenly eye was delighted at first. Then it was filled with shock and anger. It was delighted because it really did not track down the wrong person. The sovereign qi that Ning Fan condensed was definitely condensed with the help of the sovereign rain primordial art. From the perspective of the heavenly eye, Ning Fan had a great relationship with the Rain Palace after all. Otherwise, it was impossible for him to possess the primordial art that was passed down from generation to generation by the divine sovereigns. The owner of the heavenly eye was even more certain that Ning Fan had ulterior motives and was plotting something against the Rain Palace. However, as soon as this joy appeared, it immediately disappeared. It was because the owner of the heavenly eye discovered to his horror that Ning Fan actually had the intention to destroy his heavenly eye. Jiang Yi wanted to withdraw his heaven eye. However, he was shocked to discover that while it was easy for the heaven eye to enter the profound Yin world, it was impossible for it to leave. He couldn't withdraw his heaven eye. This was not strange at all. This person had used the heavenly eye technique to spy on Ning Fan. Ning Fan did not know about it at all. Thus, he was able to enter the profound Yin world. However, Ning Fan was the lord of the profound Yin world after all. If he controls this world and prevents the heavenly eye from leaving, how could it come and go as it pleases? You can't break my heaven eye. I am the revered elder of the vast heaven palace of the Rain Palace, revered Nether. I'm a close subject of Prince Xiaoxiang, the #1 celestial master of the Rain Palace, conferred by the Rain Sovereign himself. You can't shatter my heavenly eye. Otherwise, you will suffer the revenge of the entire Rain world. Ning Fan remained silent, but his lips curved into a sneer. So this person is revered Ming. Ning Fan seemed to have heard of this name in Great Jin before. He remembered that when revered Snow came to Great Jin's aid, it was because revered Ming had predicted that there would be a demon tide in Great Jin. Moreover, it was probably because he had predicted the relationship between Li Ban and the demon world that revered Snow did not dare to kill Li Ban in the end. Revered Ming was the #1 heavenly master of the Rain Palace. He was probably the only expert who could barely condense his heaven eye. In other words, as long as Ning Fan destroys revered Ming's heaven eye, no one would be able to see through Ning Fan's heavenly secrets anymore. That's good enough. Ning Fan's eyes flashed with cold light. He would not fall into the same trap twice. Revered Ming would not have a second chance to spy on Ning Fan. He pointed his finger. Golden sovereign qi soared into the sky and turned into a gigantic golden mountain. Then, it crashed heavily at the heaven eye. The sovereign qi technique that was powerful enough to kill an early void refinement realm ferocious beast was used to suppress a mere heaven eye. In just an instant, the entire gigantic eye in the sky was blasted into a mist of blood by the golden mountain. Seeing that the strange phenomenon of the profound Yin world was gradually disappearing, Ning Fan relaxed his brows. This time it was really a close call. The Heaven Eye technique was originally a technique that only trigram immortals could cultivate. He did not expect that a mere revered elder of the Rain Palace would actually have such a shocking innate talent in divination. Since this person has such a unique skill, he must be highly valued in the Rain Palace. I wonder if the Rain Sovereign would fly into a rage after Ning Fan destroyed his Heaven Eye. Rain Sovereign. Ning Fan's eyes darkened. For the first time, he hated someone he had never met before. What does it have to do with him that I condense my sovereign chi? Even if I become a sovereign, can't there be 2 sovereigns in the Rain world? The 3 sovereigns of the Sword world, and the 9 sovereigns of the Devil world. Which one of them is the strongest? As for the Rain Sovereign, come to think of it, the reason why this person suppressed Elder Chu might not be because of his identity as a member of the demon race, or because he was afraid of Elder Chu's half-trace of sovereign chi. When that time comes, his position as a sovereign would be shaken. What a jealous and capable Rain Sovereign. One day, I will settle this score with him. In a secret chamber of the Rain Palace of the Middle State, a black-robed old man was sitting on a cushion. His left eye was open while his right eye was closed. His fingertips were moving rapidly as if he was performing divination. Outside the secret chamber, countless experts were standing guard. Among them was even the Rain Sovereign. They were waiting for the black-robed old man to find out who the new sovereign is. If he is not one of them, it would be best to eliminate him as soon as possible. This black-robed old man was the revered elder of the vast Heaven Palace, Revered Ming. The sovereign chi of a sovereign can conceal the heavenly secrets. Revered Ming's Heaven Eye has just been awakened, and it hasn't stabilized yet. Is it too much to ask him to perform divination on that person now? The Rain Sovereign frowned and felt slightly uneasy. Don't worry, Father. The Dark Lord is my subordinate, and I know his ability. In the Rain world, his divination ability is unparalleled. That mysterious sovereign has just condensed his sovereign chi, and it isn't stable yet. He might not be able to completely conceal the heavenly secrets. It shouldn't be difficult for Revered Ming to divine his appearance, voice and origin. However, if we find out his identity, I'm afraid Father will have to make a decision as soon as possible. Yin Xiaoxiang reminded. The so-called, make a decision as soon as possible, was naturally to eliminate the dissident as soon as possible to avoid raising a tiger that would cause future trouble. The Rain Sovereign nodded and said no more. After the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, an earth-shaking and mountain-shaking sound suddenly resounded in the secret chamber. Immediately, an old man's miserable cry was heard. The Rain Sovereign's expression changed. He knew that the divination had a result. However, he felt that the noise was a little too big, so he immediately pushed the door open and entered. As soon as he entered, his expression changed immediately. He saw Revered Ming's left eye open, which was filled with hideous and painful traces of blood. His right eye was completely shattered and black blood was gushing out. The Heaven Eye was shattered. Yin Ming, what exactly happened? Why did your Heaven Eye shatter? Did you see clearly who that person is? The Rain Sovereign was shocked. Revered Ming was his right-hand man. Although he wasn't strong, his divination skill was definitely the best in the Rain world. The shattering of the Heaven Eye was like cutting off one of the Rain Sovereign's arms. It's him, it's him. Revered Ming's expression was filled with fear and resentment. The Heaven Eye was shattered. He secretly swore that he must find other ways to find this person, and make him suffer a fate worse than death. It's him. The others might not know who Revered Ming was talking about, but only the Rain Sovereign knew. As soon as he heard Revered Ming's words, his eyes revealed fear. It's that person. 100,000 years ago, before the previous Rain Sovereign passed away, he had left behind a divination using the Life Soul technique. This divination was nurtured in the Heavenly Fate Pool, and it possessed unfathomable divination abilities. The current Rain Sovereign had taken out this divination to predict the future of the Rain world. No. He claimed that he was predicting the future of the Rain world, but that was not the case. What he had predicted was whether he could become an immortal in this lifetime. The answer was no, because the current Rain Sovereign would die and the cause of his death would be the death of an expert, who was at the peak of the 9 worlds within 1,000 years. In the divination, the Rain Sovereign only saw the back of that person. Just the back of that person almost shattered his primordial spirit. The Rain Sovereign had predicted that this person's magic power was boundless. He had once made up his mind to find this person. He had once sensed a trace of rain intent from this person's chi. In the deepest part of his chi, there was a trace of rain divine veins. Therefore, the Rain Sovereign thought that this person was the descendant of one of the 7th princes of the Rain Palace. He had once searched for this person among the 800 cultivation countries. At that time, Yun Bushu had gone to Ningfan to find this person. Of course, the Rain Sovereign would not be kind to this person. In the past, the descendants of the divine children that he had found from the 800 cultivation countries were either secretly eliminated or had their immortal veins destroyed, turning them into cripples. Unknowingly, Ningfan had already avoided that calamity a long time ago. It was because of his previous divination that the Rain Sovereign was so nervous about the birth of a sovereign being in the Rain world this time. He had a hunch that the sovereign being born this time was the mysterious expert that he had seen in the divination in the past. This person would kill him, the dignified Rain Sovereign, in the near future. In order to prevent that from happening, he must be one step ahead and eliminate this person. Therefore, revered Ming risked his heavenly eye to find this person. Unfortunately, revered Ming did not manage to see Ningfan's appearance, chi, voice, cultivation base, origin and abilities clearly in the end. The only thing he could see was Ningfan's blurry figure. That figure was exactly the same as the nemesis of the Rain Sovereign's divination. It was definitely the same person. We must find this person. Puff. Revered Ming spurted out blood and fell unconscious on the ground. The Rain Sovereign's mind trembled. His nemesis had finally appeared. Use the power of the 800 cultivation countries to find this person and kill him. The Rain Sovereign's expression turned cold. He casually threw out a jade slip. What was imprinted on it was a blurry figure that looked extremely similar to Ningfan. There is only a blurry back view. How are we going to find this person? Moreover, this person can condense sovereign chi. He is most likely a void fragmentation realm expert. How can we kill him? One of his trusted revered elders said with difficulty. Then, we will kill everyone who looks like this back view. Even if that person is a void fragmentation realm expert, we must also eliminate him. The Rain Sovereign said coldly. Within 1,000 years, he would probably die in the hands of that person. Since it was a matter of life and death, how could the Rain Sovereign be careless? Even if he had to sacrifice everything in the Rain world, he must eliminate this person. Chapter 399. The pursuit of the heavenly eye was really beyond Ningfan's expectation. After avoiding this calamity, Ningfan returned to the thatched cottage to see Luoyu after checking that everything was fine. Seeing that she still showed no signs of waking up, he sighed inwardly and began to sort out the spoils of war. It was time to deal with the 120 bottles of dragon blood. It would take 10 years to brew the blood wine. Ningfan needed to confirm if it was possible to shorten the 10 years. In the profound Yin world, one's cultivation speed and alchemy speed were 100 times faster than in the outside world. As for whether his brewing speed would increase, it was still unknown. Ningfan took out the Xianwei bloody gourd and carefully studied the wine inside it. After the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, he let out a sigh. The profound Yin world did not have the ability to increase the production of blood wine. No, it should be said that the structure of this dark radiance blood gourd was extremely special, and it had to link up with the energy of the world in the outside world in order to brew blood into wine. If it was stored in a time acceleration or placed in the profound Yin world, not only would it not be able to accelerate, it would also be impossible to brew wine. This is a troublesome matter. Perhaps in the future, when Ningfan breaks through the void and attains the immortal realm, he would be able to communicate with the power of heaven and earth. Only then would he be able to brew wine in the profound Yin world. However, he could not do it now. The wine can only be brewed in the outside world. The 10 years in the outside world cannot be sped up. In other words, it will take at least 10 years for the blood wine to be brewed. I can only break through the Void Refinement Realm bottleneck with the help of the power of the blood wine after 10 years. It will take me 10 years to accumulate enough magic power, and I don't know how many years it will take to break through the Void Refinement Realm bottleneck. I'm afraid that the Void Refinement Realm will consume a lot of time. It's even possible that I won't be able to succeed in the Void Refinement Realm in the remaining 60 years. I'm too greedy. If I can succeed in the Void Refinement Realm after several decades, it would already be a great blessing. For ordinary cultivators, they might not necessarily be able to attain the Void Refinement Realm, even if they spend hundreds or thousands of years. Rather than pondering about the unknown, why don't I drink the remaining 7 mouthfuls of blood wine, and put the 120 bottles of blood wine into the blood gourd? This is the real business. Before he came to the Dragon Deciding Valley, he could at most drink 3 mouthfuls of blood wine. After that, he would not be able to resist the baleful chi of the blood wine. However, after the massacre in the blood pool, his baleful aura had become even more shocking. It was not impossible for him to drink 7 mouthfuls in a row. Gulp. Ningfan gulped down 7 mouthfuls of the blood wine in one gulp. The spiciness entered his throat, and he immediately sat down cross-legged to refine the power of the wine. 3 mouthfuls of blood wine increased his magic power by 25,000 units. 7 mouthfuls of blood wine increased his magic power by another 58,000 units. With the cultivation speed of the profound Yin world that was 100 times faster than normal, Ningfan did not spend too much time refining the blood wine. When the wine power in his body was completely refined, his magic power broke through to 396,500 units. The 7 mouthfuls of blood wine were all brewed with the blood of the Sword Sovereign, so the alcohol was quite ferocious. Even with Ningfan's alcohol tolerance, he still felt slightly tipsy and dizzy. After suppressing the power of the wine, Ningfan patted his storage pouch and took out the 120 jade pots. Then he stored all of the dragon blood into the blood gourd. This dragon blood was slightly inferior to the Sword Sovereign's blood, but if each pot of blood was made into wine, it would have at least 5,000 units of Fa Li. Once the 600,000 units of armor blood wine is successfully brewed, Ningfan's magic power would exceed 1 million units, and he could officially begin breaking through to the Void Refinement Realm. 10 years. Only 10 years, not too long. After dealing with the blood wine, Ningfan took out the Serene Palace Buddha Fire and the Divine Cold Soul. With a solemn expression, he refined them one by one. After refining the Divine Cold Soul, Ningfan now possessed the 13th type of Heavenly Cold Soul and Earth Flame. His magic power increased by 1,000 units. After refining the Serene Palace Buddha Flame, Ningfan obtained his first type of 6th grade Void Flame. His magic power increased by 5,000 units. His magic power of 402,500 units had already exceeded 400,000 units. He was only 100,000 units away from the half-step Void Refinement Realm's 500,000 units. Initially, he wanted to consume the Divine Transformation Realm Dao Fruit. However, after giving it a second thought, he decided against it. In Suqiu was highly regarded by the Purple Mansion Academy. She would be able to ascend after attaining the Divine Transformation Realm. Although she was half a step away from the Soul Formation stage, she would still need at least 100 years to truly reach the Soul Formation stage. This Divine Transformation Dao Fruit should be left for Suqiu. To Ningfan, who possessed countless amounts of blood wine, 1,000 units of magic power was insignificant. To Suqiu, however, it could save her a lot of hard work and lay the foundation for her deification. And of course, I have to prepare one for Su Qiuling as well as for the other women. Ningfan smiled faintly. If he returns to his hometown, he might be able to help them improve their cultivation bases. Looking at the time, it was already close to dawn. Ningfan took care of Luoyu for a while more before leaving the profound Yin world and returning to the Dragon Deciding Valley. In the valley, the flying snow was silent. Outside Ningfan's room, a lonely middle-aged man with a sword on his back had been standing alone in the snow for a long time. He sensed that Ningfan had entered the space of his magic treasure. Besides, the fluctuation of the space did not seem to be like a heavenly dwelling magic treasure, or even a small kiliocosm treasure. Perhaps it's a medium kiliocosm treasure. However, this should be impossible. Only immortal emperors are qualified to possess medium kiliocosm treasures, aren't they? Yin Tianjue pondered for a while, but he did not ask Ningfan anything. He did not like to pry into other people's secrets. Seeing Ningfan push open the door and walk out, he only said coldly, "You have passed the test. After you bid farewell to your little girlfriend, I will send you back to the endless sea." Yin Tianjue really had to send Ningfan back. Otherwise, it would take Ningfan at least a few months to travel the distance of several billion li. What made him rather speechless was the word little girlfriend that Yin Tianjue mentioned. It was naturally referring to Yu Chong-er. Ningfan also had a good impression of this frank, straightforward and filial little girl. However, that good impression had yet to reach the level of romantic feelings. He did not deny it. However, he did not plan to bid farewell to Yu Chong either. It was enough for him to leave silently. Junior has gained a lot in this trip to the dragon-determining valley. It was all thanks to Senior's care. I won't dare to forget this kindness. However, the Rain Sovereign ordered Senior to return to the Middle State immediately, but Senior disobeyed the order and sent me back to the Endless Sea. Will this matter cause trouble for Senior? Ningfan was worried that Yin Tianjue had angered the Rain Sovereign. Based on his current understanding of the Rain Sovereign, he was definitely not a kind person. Don't bother yourself with unnecessary matters, Yin Tianjue said impatiently, stopping all of Ningfan's questions. Seeing that Ningfan did not have the intention to stay, he also had no intention to stay in this place. He turned around and looked at a certain direction in the wind and snow, saying farewell coldly. Then a sword light flashed and carried Ningfan away from the snow country. In the dark, Chu Chong, and revealed himself with a bitter smile. Yin Tianjue was naturally bidding farewell to Old Man Chu. During the 1-month trip to the Blood Dragon Pool, the Blood Dragon demonic sword had absorbed a large amount of blood qi, and its dragon might had become even more active. Old Man Chu could sense a trace of the Blood Dragon's prestige from Ningfan's body. He knew that Ningfan probably had some kind of secret treasure of the Blood Dragon. Thus, he wanted to find out more about it. However, he did not expect that Yin Tianjue could see through Old Man Chu's intention and guard it outside Ningfan's room. As such, even if Old Man Chu wanted to find out more about Ningfan, he had no choice but to give up on the idea. He didn't want to offend Yin Tianjue for an unknown Blood Dragon's secret treasure. White-clothed sword god, Yin Tianjue. I never thought that such a cold and indifferent person would actually treat a revered elder of the devil cultivators so generously. Haha, for the sake of Yin Tianjue, this old man will not have any ideas about Zhou Ming. However, Yin Tianjue might dare to ignore the Rain Emperor's summons, but I don't. This old man is of the beast race, and I also possess half a wisp of sovereign qi that was bestowed upon me by the late emperor. So I am a thorn in the Rain Emperor's side. If I return to the Middle State too late, it is very likely that I will be the subject of ridicule. Even a void fragmentation realm expert doesn't have freedom. I'm leaving. Chu Chong and gave a self-mocking smile. Then he also turned into a ray of traveling light and left for the Middle State. Amidst the wind and snow, Yu Chong had a sleepless night. She stared at Ningfan's departing sword light in silence. Feeling a little melancholy, she could not help but touch her lips, recalling the lingering wet kiss that day. It was as if her lips still had Ningfan's taste. Thank you. You saved me, my mother and my brother. I will certainly repay the third favor that I owe you. I will definitely. It took 3 days for them to arrive and 2 days for them to leave. Yin Tianjue remained silent throughout the journey. The speed of his sword light increased. In just 2 days, he had sent Ningfan back to the external sea of Penglai. He did not bid farewell to Ningfan, nor did he give him any instructions. Only after Ningfan jumped off the sword light and cupped his fists towards him did he slightly nod his head. His eyes looked slightly gentle. I heard that Senior isn't the son of the Rain Emperor. You must be careful in the Middle State this time. Ningfan frowned slightly and reminded him solemnly. Yin Tianjue had broken through his sin mark and regained his 4th heavenly layer void fragmentation realm cultivation base. Then, he openly disobeyed the order of the Snow Country by injuring the 7th prince with a single sword strike. With the cold personality of the Rain Emperor, Ning Fan was slightly worried about how he would deal with Yin Tianjue. Seeing that Ning Fan was actually concerned about him, Yin Tianjue's eyes flickered slightly. Without saying anything, he turned into a ray of sword light and left proudly. In just a short while, he disappeared without a trace. However, after he had gone far away, a ray of sword chi suddenly shot out from the direction where he left and went into Ning Fan's body. That sword chi did not have any killing intent. It seemed to be just an inheritance of a sword technique. Ning Fan did not resist and allowed the sword chi to enter his body. Immediately, a sword technique appeared in his sea of consciousness. Myriad sword style. Ning Fan took a deep breath. Yin Tianjue had actually imparted one of the 3 strongest sword techniques in his entire life to him. Along with that ray of sword light, Yin Tianjue's usual cold voice could be heard. You be careful too. It was the first time in 1,000 years that Yin Tianjue told someone to be careful. All of a sudden, Ning Fan found it hard to calm down. He could not understand why this kind of silent parting made him feel a little reluctant. Perhaps, Ning Fan felt a sense of protection from the old devil from Yin Tianjue. Or perhaps, it was because of a reason that even Ning Fan did not understand. Shaking his head, Ning Fan put away all his thoughts. He looked at the Penglai immortal island beneath his feet and smiled bitterly. Ever since he met Yin Tianjue in the Green Bamboo Palace, he did not return to Penglai for 2 months straight. He wondered if Bei Xiaoman, who had just lost her virginity, would explode from anger when she woke up and could not see her lover. Bei Xiaoman Suqiuling and In Suqiu. Once these karmic ties were settled, it was time for him to enter the eternal endless sea. After dealing with all the trivial matters, he could go home. Ning Fan could not stay any longer even though there were so many beauties in his home. He had too many things to do. If he stops, he would not be able to hold on to anything. He took a step forward and his figure disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already in the southern pill tower of Black Warrior City. Yilan was receiving guests. After being praised by Ning Fan, her confidence in cultivation was ignited, and she looked even more radiant. As soon as she saw Ning Fan return, she subconsciously revealed a shy and happy expression. She lowered her head slightly and greeted him politely. Young Master Zhou, you're back. Are you going to see the mistress? Young Master left without saying goodbye for 2 months. The mistress is quite angry. Is that so? Then are you angry? Ning Fan teased. Me? What right do I have to be angry at young master? Yilan gently turned her head away. She did not dare to look at Ning Fan's eyes directly. Her heart felt like it was going to jump out of her throat. It was her first time being teased by Ning Fan. It's good that you're not angry. Be good. Ning Fan smiled and went up to the southern tower. The word be good sounded like he was coaxing his lover. It made Yilan blush all the way to her neck. As for the elders of the Pill Tower who were standing at the side, they did not dare to offend Yilan when they saw how close they were. With Ning Fan's reputation, Yilan's life in the future would probably be very good. Her status in the Yi clan would also rise. At the top of the southern tower was Bei Xiaoman's room. Just as Ning Fan walked to the door, he could hear the sound of cursing from afar. When he pushed the door open, Bei Xiaoman was sitting on the bed in a bad mood. She was holding a puppet that looked like Ning Fan and was poking it with a needle. Unfortunately, the spot that she poked was right between Ning Fan's legs where his clone was. When he looked at the floor, there were at least 20 puppets whose lower bodies had been poked into pieces. Ning Fan felt a chill down his lower body. This Bei Xiaoman really has a lot of resentment. Is she trying to castrate me? Stinky Zhou. You're shameless. You just finished with me and then you ran away. You've eaten your fill. You're shameless. How could Bei Xiaoman not feel resentful? If it was any other woman who could not see their lover after their first night, they would probably feel the same way. It was hard for Bei Xiaoman not to cry and vent her anger by poking the puppet. It was already very rare. Oh, Miss Xiaoman seems to be very angry. I wonder what I can do to calm you down. Humph. How dare you come back? I'm going to poke you to death. Poke, poke, poke. Bei Xiaoman was like a little wild leopard that had been wronged. She ran down the bed with her stockings bare and ran into Ning Fan's arms. Then, she poked the silver needle in her hand at Ning Fan's lower body. She really dared to do it. Does she want to be a widow? Crazy girl. Ning Fan did not say much. At this moment, Bei Xiaoman would not listen to his explanation. Ning Fan was also too lazy to explain. With a flick of his finger, he flicked the silver needle away. Then he lifted Bei Xiaoman up and threw her onto the bed, pinning her under his body. One of his hands clamped onto Bei Xiaoman's hands while the other hand began to unbutton her clothes. Shameless. Bei Xiaoman was so angry that she was speechless. Humph. After a night of pleasure with her, he would leave and come back 2 months later. The first thing he would do when he comes back is to have sex with her. This stinky Zhou Ming's head must be filled with shit. How disgusting. Even though she said that it was disgusting, her body immediately reacted the moment Ning Fan touched it. Her legs rubbed against each other, and her thighs were already slippery. Ning Fan unbuttoned her thin shirt. He did not even take it off. Instead, he lifted up her undergarment, revealing 2 small white rabbits. He sucked one of the buds and began to lick it. Before Bei Xiaoman could resist, she was already subdued by Ning Fan skillfully. A pleasant feeling filled her entire body. The emptiness she felt was also unbearable. She stared at Ning Fan with misty eyes. All of her resentment had been thrown to the back of her mind. Now she just wanted to ride on his body and clamp him tightly between her legs. Your legs are so beautiful. Ning Fan caressed the inside of Bei Xiaoman's smooth and slender thighs through her stockings and praised her generously. He still remembered that when he met Bei Xiaoman at the beginning of the year, someone had reminded him that praising Bei Xiaoman like this would make her happy. Humph. You're such a sweet talker. Bei Xiaoman raised her chin proudly. Being praised by Ning Fan was much more pleasing to the ear than being praised by others. Humph. This stinky Zhou Ming has good taste. He even knows that I'm good-looking. When the fiery heat pierced into her body, Bei Xiaoman had already completely lost herself. Her fingernails sank deep into Ning Fan's back. The violent impact made her so excited that she could not breathe. Next time, tell me before you leave. I will be worried. Bei Xiaoman moaned while speaking intermittently. Just this once. Ning Fan savored the taste of Bei Xiaoman. She was really delicious. Chapter 400. After a round of lovemaking, 2 naked bodies were still entangled on the bed. Bei Xiaoman curled up in Ning Fan's embrace and carefully listened to his recount of his whereabouts during the past 2 months. On that day, Ning Fan only said that he had something important to deal with when he transmitted his voice using his flying sword. However, he did not give any details. When Bei Xiaoman heard that a void fragmentation realm expert of the Rain Palace was actually looking for Ning Fan, and the person who came looking for him was even the most ferocious expert of the Rain Palace, Yin Tianjue, Bei Xiaoman's face turned pale with fright. She finally understood why Ning Fan would leave for 2 months without saying goodbye. Now that the sword demon had come looking for him, he had no leeway to refuse. White-clothed sword god Yin Tianjue. This person's temperament was cold and his strength was formidable. Even in the 4 heavens, he was considered an outstanding person. Even Bei Xiaoman was a little afraid of Yin Tianjue's fierce reputation. When she heard that Yin Tianjue actually brought Ning Fan to the dragon-deciding Valley of Snow Country to collect his blood, Bei Xiaoman became even more nervous. She had heard of the blood dragon pool in the dragon-deciding valley, and knew how dangerous it was. As soon as Bei Xiaoman heard that Ning Fan actually went to the blood dragon pool to fight and put himself in danger, she could no longer hold a grudge against him. Fortunately, you are fine. If Yin Tianjue dares to do anything to you, I will definitely beg my mother to avenge you. Bei Xiaoman's charming face was as cold as ice as she said. Her words warmed Ning Fan's heart. There was no need to avenge himself. During this trip, Ning Fan had indeed made a great enemy. However, his enemy was not Yin Tianjue, but the entire Rain world. The Rain Emperor's identity was special. As the ruler of a realm, the cultivators of the higher realm definitely could not kill this person. Otherwise, they would be punished according to the laws of heaven. Ning Fan did not expect Bei Xiaoman to help him get rid of the Rain Sovereign. It was unrealistic. After today, Ning Fan stayed in Plunglai Island for another month. Every day he would enter the profound Yin world to brew a spirit consolidating pill with clean water to help Luo Yu recover her primordial spirit. Every night he would make love with Bei Xiaoman, and in the midst of their pleasure, he would gradually help Bei Xiaoman slay the Scarlet Dragon. This greatly surprised Bei Xiaoman. She could not understand what kind of ability Ning Fan possessed that could actually help her get rid of her Scarlet Dragon. If she did not ask, Ning Fan would not tell her either. When Ning Fan asked about Bei Yao, Bei Xiaoman's answer greatly surprised him. There was no one named Bei Yao in the Lost World Palace. Ning Fan thought about it carefully. This lady should be someone from the Lost World Palace without a doubt. Moreover, she was always thinking about Bei Xiaoman. Thus, there was no doubt about her identity as his elder sister. Perhaps he had given a fake name, and didn't want others to know about it. As such, Ning Fan almost never mentioned Yuan Yao to prevent Bei Xiaoman from finding out about her. 1 month later, Bei Xiaoman's Crimson Dragon was completely gone. Her aptitude was not weak to begin with. Now that she had completely severed the Crimson Dragon, her cultivation could be said to have advanced by leaps and bounds. In the profound Yin world, Luo Yu's complexion improved by the day. Her soul had almost condensed to the point where it was no different from a corporeal body. After feeding her the last 15 spirit consolidating pills, Ning Fan sat at the edge of the bed. He held her hand and channeled his magic power into it, helping her tidy up her primordial spirit. All 207 spirit consolidating pills had been fed to him. Luo Yu's hands gradually warmed up. The aura of his primordial spirit grew stronger day by day, gradually recovering to the strength of a soul formation cultivator. Early soul formation, middle soul formation, late soul formation, peak soul formation. Early void refinement realm, mid void refinement realm, late void refinement realm, peak void refinement realm. Day after day, Luo Yu's aura rose steadily, but she still did not wake up. Ning Fan sighed inwardly. One of his hands grabbed Luo Yu's wrist and continuously channeled his magic power into her. His other hand was caressing her sleeping face, caressing the side of her smooth and cold face. On the last day, his aura rose once again, and he was no longer weaker than Yin Jinghong, the first level of the void fragmentation realm. Luo Yu had actually recovered her strength to the first layer of the void fragmentation realm by relying on the 207 spirit solidifying pills. A violent aura spread out from her body and swept across the entire profound Yin world. The entire world shook violently under his aura force. A wave of supreme aura force directly sent Ning Fan flying away. Ning Fan's eyes flashed with joy. To him, it was great news that Luo Yu could recover to the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. In that case, as long as Luo Yu is around, he would have the strength to protect himself even if he is being hunted down by a void fragmentation realm expert of the Rain Palace. He had always believed that Luo Yu was someone he could completely trust and entrust his life to. However, what disappointed him was that even though Luo Yu's primordial spirit had recovered to the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm, she still showed no signs of waking up. That void fragmentation realm aura gradually disappeared without a trace. Luo Yu, on the other hand, regained her peaceful and beautiful expression. She slept like a princess who was isolated from the world. Ning Fan sighed. If Luo Yu does not wake up, she would not be able to protect him even if she has the strength of a first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. It's really a pity. However, there's nothing he can do about it. You still can't wake up, huh? Fortunately, your primordial spirit has already stabilized. Even if you can't wake up, you won't have to worry about your life anymore. Have a good rest. Little Yu heir, you don't have to worry with me around. Ning Fan caressed Luo Yu's cheek and shook his head with a smile. If Luo Yu wakes up and finds out that he had taken advantage of a beautiful woman, would she be angry? I'm sorry. He blamed himself and covered Luo Yu with a thin blanket again. Then he left the profound Yin world in a flash. However, Ning Fan did not know that after he left for a long time, Luo Yu's eyelashes trembled slightly and she slowly opened her eyes. Her fair and delicate cheeks were already burning with embarrassment. Stinky brat. How dare you even take advantage of your elder sister? You really have guts. In fact, she had already woken up. However, she did not want Ning Fan to know about it. Firstly, her primordial spirit was still injured, and she could not leave the profound Yin world for too long. She still could not go to the outside world freely. Secondly, she was held in Ning Fan's arms. She was protected by Ning Fan and the side of her face was touched by him. Luo Yu was a woman after all. How could she wake up in front of Ning Fan? She did not want to feel awkward between them. In her heart, she had always regarded Ning Fan as a silly little brother. She did not expect that this silly little brother would actually take advantage of her like this. Its really words echoed in her mind. All of them were what Ning Fan muttered to himself when she was unconscious. He hugged her tightly and chased her away from the cold. He comforted her with simple yet powerful words. Don't worry. I'm here. This time, it's my turn to protect you. Luo Yu helplessly realized that she actually did not know how to face Ning Fan. This was probably the reason why she did not dare to open her eyes the most. You can't protect me. The enemies of the Luo clan are not people you can handle. Luo Yu's eyes dimmed. She covered her chest and got up slightly. Then she stared at the profound Yin world outside the window, feeling lonely and silent. She was not a woman with many words in the first place. The charm and maturity that she showed to Ning Fan was just a facade. No one could walk into her heart. No one. Ning Fan was unaware that Luo Yu had already woken up. He had wanted to wake Luo Yu up before entering the internal endless sea to ensure his safety. Now that Luo Yu had not woken up, he could not force her. He had to rely on himself for everything. It was time to go to the inner sea. He was going to leave again, and this time, he did not know when he would return. Bei Xiaoman was reluctant to leave, but she did not urge him to stay. Because she was leaving too. The news of Ning Fan crippling Shiman Ye's divine clone had spread like wildfire in the upper world. Even though the Shiman family did not seek revenge in public, the Lost World Palace was quite dissatisfied with Ning Fan and Bei Xiaoman. Naturally, the great elder of the Lost World Palace was dissatisfied. However, even though he was dissatisfied, Grand Elder did not send anyone to deal with the lowly Zhou Ming. It should be said that with the Grand Elder's cultivation level, he wouldn't take a soul formation cultivator seriously at all. Even if Ning Fan is at the Void Refinement Realm, Void Fragmentation Realm, Life Immortal Realm or Crossing Realm, the Great Elder would not spare a glance at him. Why would a powerhouse pay attention to an ant? However, Bei Xiaoman still had to return to the Lost World Palace to give the Great Elder an explanation. Even though she had lost her chastity, she did so willingly. Besides, since Ning Fan was able to defeat Shiman Ye's divine clone, he would undoubtedly become a Void Fragmentation Realm expert thousands of years later. This kind of talent was worthy of Bei Xiaoman. In any case, the Shiman family had taken the initiative to give up on the engagement. Whoever Bei Xiaoman liked, the Grand Elder could not say anything. At most, he could only give her a few words of reprimand. Zhou Ming, I'll be returning to Northern Heaven soon. With my mother protecting me, even the Great Elder won't do anything to me. Don't worry about me. Also, if you want to ascend to the North Heaven in the future, come to Penglai to look for Lu Qing. He has a way to contact the higher domain. You can contact me, and I will try to help you ascend. It was rare for Bei Xiaoman to be gentle for once. However, when she saw Ning Fan looking at her with a teasing smile, she immediately got angry. Humph. Don't think that I'm helping you because I like you. You're just a human cauldron that I'm keeping. I don't want to see you die under the heavenly tribulation. That's all. Don't think too much. Bei Xiaoman said arrogantly. I didn't think too much. I was just thinking that I might not be able to taste you for a very long time. Bah. Pervert. Bei Xiaoman's face turned red. The so-called parting had diluted her sadness in this noisy atmosphere. Take good care of yourself. Ning Fan lightly kissed Bei Xiaoman's forehead. With a smile, he turned into a wisp of smoke and flew towards the direction of the Pleasure Devil Sea. Looking at Ning Fan's departing figure, Bei Xiaoman suddenly felt a lump in her throat. She turned around and clenched her fists tightly. Stupid Zhou Ming. Miss, don't be sad. With fellow Taoist Zhou's potential, ascension is just a matter of time. Stone Warrior comforted her. I know, Grandpa Stone Warrior. Bei Xiaoman nodded her head. Suddenly she was stunned. She looked at Stone Warrior with embarrassment and anger. She raised her hand and whipped him. Who's sad for him? Nonsense. The whip felt like it was tickling him. Stone Warrior did not avoid it. He knew that Bei Xiaoman was thin-skinned. Ning Fan had not decided to ascend to the northern heaven, even though he had obtained the quota from Bei Xiaoman. Early spirit-severing realm cultivators could ascend as long as they obtained the quota. Ning Fan could choose to ascend at this moment. However, he still had too many unfinished business. He could not leave. The Pleasure Devil Immortal Island was adjacent to Gusu Island. The reason why Ning Fan returned to the Pleasure Devil Sea was to bring Su Qiuling away from Gusu Island. There were not many people who could leave such a deep impression in his heart. Su Qiuling was one of them. He came to fulfill his promise to bring Su Qiuling to the Eternal Endless Sea. However, it seemed like he was a step too late. Old ancestor Dong, Su had actually brought Su Qiuling to the giant devil clan of the Eternal Endless Sea. Su Qiuling had left a letter on Gusu Island. She said that Feng Shuiyan, the daughter of venerated giant, had encountered some problems with her illness. She wanted to go to the Eternal Endless Sea to see her. With her master, Dong Su, as her protector, it would not be a problem for her to go to the Eternal Endless Sea. However, it had only been a month since she left. It was a pity to miss her like this. Ning Fan shook his head and did not sigh. He would naturally meet her again when he arrives at the giant devil clan of the Eternal Endless Sea. He was not in a hurry. The lifespan of cultivators was very long. It was destined that the separation and loneliness of cultivators would be longer than that of mortals. Ning Fan still had some unfinished business on Gusu Island. Old ancestor Yulong was left behind in the Pleasure Devil Sea. He was originally an elder of the Pleasure Devil sect. Due to some reasons, he had to rely on the Lost World Palace. However, he was captured and brought back to the Pleasure Devil Sea in the end. During the time when Ning Fan was away, Yulong collected many primordial spirit-nourishing spiritual medicines. Unfortunately, these spiritual medicines had little effect on Luo Yu, who had a void fragmentation realm cultivation base. Other than these, Yulong also collected many spiritual medicines that could heal the Sea of Consciousness. These could heal the female corpse's Sea of Consciousness. He left some pills and cultivation methods for Su Rushan, Yulong and the others. He also left some benefits for Wang Si and Elder Qi, who were on Gusu Island. Eventually, he returned to the Zhou mansion and met Bai Su again. Bai Su had already changed out of her mourning clothes. She was openly staying in Ning Fan's mansion, and was even wearing mourning clothes. It would only attract more gossip. Su Qiuling had taught Bai Su many cultivation methods, and helped her improve her cultivation base to the 10th level of the vein opening realm. Gusu was no longer a country of mortals. If they want to survive in the Endless Sea, they had to cultivate. Bai Su's innate talent was above average. In addition to the guidance and gifts given by Ning Fan, Su Qiuling and Dong Su, her starting point was definitely higher than most cultivators. After cultivating, Bai Su's appearance seemed to have become 1 or 2 years younger. Her mature beauty revealed a myriad of amorous feelings. She did not lose to the fairies in the cultivation world. When Bai Su saw Ning Fan's return, she was neither happy nor sad. She just went into the kitchen to prepare some dishes and wine to entertain Ning Fan. The moonlight shrouded Gusu. In the Zhou mansion, there were only 2 people sitting alone and drinking with each other. Little Stone was no longer in Gusu. He left a letter and went to one of the mortal countries among the 800 cultivation countries to cultivate under the escort of Wang Si and the others. He wholeheartedly cultivated the sword. This young man was a good seedling for sword cultivation. He was a good seedling that only appeared once in 1,000 years in the Rain world. 1,000 years ago, a genius sword cultivator appeared out of nowhere in the Rain world. His name was Yin Tianjue. 1,000 years later, no one knew if Little Stone would also become famous in the Rain world. That young man had an extraordinary persistence towards the sword. He was a natural-born sword cultivator. Ning Fan's request for him was to become the #1 swordsman in the mortal world before starting his cultivation. On the surface, It might seem that he would miss the best opportunity to open his meridians, but in reality, he was laying the most solid foundation for the way of the sword. Perhaps Little Shitta's cultivation speed wouldn't be as fast as other cultivators in the future, but every time he entered a new realm, he would be invincible within the same realm with the sword in his hand. With this aura, he would definitely become a peerless sword cultivator in the future. After Little Shirtu left, Baisu missed him dearly, but she didn't stop her son's determination to pursue swordsmanship. What made Baisu speechless the most was that the mischievous little stone had purposely left a letter for him. Baisu secretly read the contents. In the letter, Little Shirtu only asked for one thing from Uncle Zhou. Help him and his father take care of his mother. Rascal. Baisu was speechless. He was speechless. However, in the end, she still followed Little Stone's suggestion and gave the letter to Ning Fan. As soon as Ning Fan read the letter, his expression immediately turned strange. Baisu, on the other hand, immediately explained in a fluster. Little Shirtu is still young and babbles nonsense. Young Master Zhou, please don't take it to heart. No. Little Shirtu is right. He wholeheartedly cultivates the sword. Perhaps he won't return to Gusu in this lifetime. If he entrusted you to me, he won't have to worry. Young Master, please conduct yourself with dignity. I didn't agree to it. Baisu softly pouted. However, her eyes were a little flustered. Is that so? Then drink with me. Ning Fan did not force her. Not all women had to be subdued by sleeping with him. For a woman like Baisu, being able to prepare good food and wine for Ning Fan and accompany him to drink under the moon was already a pleasure in the world. There were some things that didn't need to be pointed out or forced. At least, Ning Fan knew that other than him, Baisu would never pour wine for another man in her life. That was enough for her. Baisu did not reject him. She just drank the wine cup after cup. In the end, she couldn't handle the alcohol anymore. Her delicate body shook and she fell on Ning Fan's shoulder, falling into a deep sleep. Ning Fan didn't wake her up, nor did he violate her. He just let her lean on his shoulder and drink alone. As he drank and pecked, his heart was gradually stirred. Cultivators spend their entire lives wandering around. It's rare for anyone to show concern for their well-being. Gusu wine is the best wine I've ever tasted. He gradually understood the true meaning of women and wine. It was the sustenance of the soul. Ning Fan stretched out his arm and held Baisu's shoulder. The latter's delicate body visibly trembled, as if she had woken up from her drunken state. However, she did not struggle free. Do you want to stay in Gusu or come with me? It's fine for me to stay in Gusu. After all, I don't like killing in the cultivation world. Staying here can also allow me to cultivate in peace and prepare food and wine for young master. When young master has swept away all the grudges or is mentally exhausted, you can return to Gusu. I will certainly prepare food and wine to welcome young master. That's good too. Ning Fan raised his head and looked at the moon without saying anything else. If there comes a day when he could cast aside all the grudges and live a peaceful life, he would certainly return to Gusu, although there was still a long time before that day. Take this red chamber Ganoderma. If you don't cultivate diligently and your lifespan is not long enough, you won't be able to see my return. I'm afraid there are still thousands of years, or even tens of thousands of years left. If I return only to see your short grave, I will be sad. I will strive to break through to the nascent soul realm and live for 3,000 years. Baisu smiled gently. I'll only wait for you for 3,000 years. Don't die and let me wait for nothing. His fate in the mortal world of Gusu ended just like that. Ning Fan was even more convinced that he must not die. He had too many people who needed protection. He must not let the Rain Palace know the whereabouts of the sovereign Qi. As long as he did not fall out with the Rain Palace, he could use his identity as a revered elder Jin Ling to make all the forces that were related to him not dare to provoke him. He left Gusu while Baisu and the moon sent him off. He left on the moon and arrived at the Green Jade Immortal Island at dawn. When Ning Fan arrived at the Green Jade Immortal Island, the grand formation of the sect suddenly trembled. All the female cultivators were shocked. Each of the female cultivators stood in formation. When they saw that it was Ning Fan, They immediately put down the magic treasures in their hands. None of them dared to attack Ningfan. "I Feng Yu, welcome revered Ming." Elder Feng's face was filled with fear and disappointment. She had already followed Ningfan's order and handed over the inheritance of her cultivation base, causing her cultivation base to fall to the early nascent soul realm. Her cultivation base had already been inherited by Su Yao. After refining the power of her inheritance, Su Yao's cultivation base was already at the late nascent soul realm. In time, she would become a half-step divine transformation realm expert after refining all the power of the inheritance. It was just a matter of time for her to break through to the divine transformation realm. "Zhou, you're here?" Su Qiu and Su Yao greeted him with a smile. However, there was still a hint of sadness hidden on Su Qiu's smile. That sadness did not escape Ningfan's observation. He naturally knew what Su Qiu was sad about. It was most likely that the Purple Mansion Academy had already found her, and she could not make a decision regarding her ascension. She knew that Ningfan hated the righteous path. She did not want Ningfan to hate her. "Don't hesitate. I will support you." Ningfan just smiled. His indifferent tone made Su Qiu's face filled with surprise. "Why, you already know about it." I know. This divine transformation realm Dao fruit is for you. You can attain the divine transformation realm and ascend as soon as possible. Rumor has it that there are two great immortal emperors in the Purple Mansion Academy. One of them is in charge of tribulation while the other is in charge of punishment. If the devil cultivators of the four heavens commit heinous crimes, they will be punished by the immortal emperor in charge of punishment. If you join the Purple Mansion Academy, if I commit any crimes in the future, I will look for you. You will most likely be able to clear my name. Pa! Su Qiu scolded him in annoyance. He came all the way here just to go through the back door with me? If Su Qiu can protect Ningfan, she would certainly be willing to do so. She was familiar with Ningfan and knew how much trouble he could cause and how he dared to kill anyone. When she thought about it, Su Qiu suddenly felt that there was no need to hesitate anymore about ascending to the Purple Mansion Academy. It would also be a good idea to clean up Ningfan's mess in the future. At least I can help him, right? However, when Ningfan took the initiative to say it, the meaning changed completely. "This Dao fruit is for you. After consuming it, it won't take too long for you to break through to the divine transformation realm." Ningfan patted his storage pouch and took out a golden Dao fruit. All of a sudden, countless female cultivators were stunned. Even Su Qiu and Su Yao, who had experienced many trials and tribulations, were caught unprepared. The divine transformation realm Dao fruit. With the production rate of the Dao fruit, killing 100 divine transformation realm cultivators would only produce one Dao fruit. What did Ningfan do? He actually has a divine transformation realm Dao fruit? It's too scary. Could it be that he killed 100 divine transformation realm old monsters? I don't want it. Your enemies are so strong. You need strength. You can just consume the Dao fruit. Su Qiu's eyes were burning with passion, but she bit her lips and refused. Take it. Don't reject it. Also, I want you to blow the flute. Ningfan's gaze swept across the area. The other unrelated female cultivators trembled and bowed to him. They understood that Ningfan wanted to be alone with the two ladies. He did not want anyone to disturb him. Blow the flute? Su Yao blushed and looked at Su Qiu with a strange gaze. Obviously, she had misunderstood. It's not the flute you're thinking of. Su Qiu refuted and took out a flute from her storage pouch. Obviously, Su Qiu had been led astray by Su Yao. In the past, Su Qiu did not understand the second meaning of blowing the flute at all. Now she understood it. No. Su Yao is right. Are you willing? Ningfan revealed a teasing smile. As soon as she heard his words, Su Qiu's face turned red. She covered her red lips and her eyes were filled with panic. It can't be he wants me to blow the flute for him. As the vice sect master of the Bai Yao Immortal sect and the future goddess of the Purple Mansion Academy, Su Qiu was at a loss. Sister, are you really not willing? Su Yao smiled faintly. She felt that it was interesting. Su Qiu, who had always been calm and collected, actually showed the shyness of a little girl. If she's not willing, you can do it for her. Remember that Miss Su Yao is still my human cauldron, right? You want me to blow the flute for you on behalf of Sister Suqiu. As the true sect master of the Bai Yao immortal sect, Su Yao was also confused. So Ning Fan came to the Bai Yao immortal sect early in the morning just to have sex in broad daylight? I'm just joking. Ning Fan waved his hand, indicating that he was just joking. No. I'm willing. Suqiu's beautiful eyes became firm. She could faintly tell that Ning Fan was going to travel far away. That was why he came to meet her. Ning Fan was going to travel far away while she was also going to ascend. Would they still be able to meet in the future? Even though Ning Fan's request was abrupt, if they were to part ways today, it would be a matter of life and death in the future. If so, Suqiu would regret it for the rest of her life. Go to my room. There are too many people here. Suqiu mustered up her courage and held Ning Fan's arm again, leading him to her chamber. Su Yao was stunned, thinking about what might happen next. She immediately felt embarrassed and didn't dare to follow. After the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, a woman's groan could be heard from Suqiu's chamber. Behind the incense curtain, Suqiu was kneeling on the couch. She bent over and stroked the hair on her temples. She sucked on a fiery strand tightly with her fragrant lips, and her little tongue was gently licking it. Her technique was too rusty, but the tip of her tongue was naturally nimble, almost not inferior to Nailan Zi's tongue technique. She was the Golden Core ancestral patriarch of the Yu country, the nascent soul sect master of the Bai Yao sect, and the future soul formation goddess of the Zifu Academy. In the future, she would definitely have even more respected statuses, and countless men would look up to her. Today, however, she was willing to kneel in front of Ning Fan. Her purest cherry lips were offered to him. Feeling Suqiu's tight lips, Ning Fan almost lost his desire. He lovingly stroked Suqiu's black hair, her face, her neck and her breasts. Suqiu trembled slightly. Her face and ears turned red, but she did not reject him. She just closed her eyes shyly and did not dare to look at him anymore. Is it comfortable? Suqiu's hair was messy and her eyes seemed to be dripping with tears. Try it and you will know. Ning Fan simply lay flat on his back and carried Suqiu's delicate body. He turned her upside down and pulled down her skirt. He separated her pink and jade-like legs, and licked the pink slit that was blurred by her juices with the tip of his tongue. Ah! Suqiu was caught off guard. Her lower body was being violated like that. It was the first time she was so stimulated that her entire body trembled. And no, it's dirty. Ah, no, no. She'll lower your voice. It's not appropriate for outsiders to know about the matters in the chamber. The walls might be eavesdropping. Ning Fan's eyes gradually became fiery and he began to suck greedily. Because of the matter of ascension, Suqiu's body could not be broken for the time being. Thus, he could only comfort her a little like this. To be honest, Ning Fan's original intention of coming to the Bai Yao sect was to listen to the flute. Unfortunately, Suqiu's devoted look was just too irritating. Ning Fan was not a saint. He had never been one. After he and Suqiu deliberately lowered their voices, no one knew what happened in the chamber after that. Chapter 401. The Endless Sea was also known as the Grave of Cultivators. There were 3,000 islands in the outer sea and 100,000 in the internal sea. The internal sea was countless times more dangerous than the outer sea. The fortuitous encounters in the internal sea were also countless times more dangerous than the outer sea. At the border between the internal sea and the outer sea, the seawater changed from a strange azure color to a pitch-black color. Under the dark and gloomy seawater, there was no telling when a rare treasure would be born. On a sea near the border, there was an uninhabited island. There was nothing special about this island, but today, there were 13 nascent Soul Realm old monsters gathered on this island. The island was only a few miles in circumference, and there was a hidden grand formation on it. Among the 13 nascent Soul Realm old monsters, the strongest was only at the late nascent Soul Realm. Each of them injected their magic power into the formation light, and their eyes were filled with excitement and nervousness. Fellow Taoist Song, is there really a divine transformation realm old monster's hidden abode here? I still can't believe it. A skinny young man asked. Fellow Taoist Lu, now that you've seen the hidden formation light, do you still doubt my words? Another old man snorted unhappily. He was a late nascent soul realm old monster, and was the strongest among them. Seeing that he was displeased, the skinny young man smiled awkwardly. No one said anything else. Everyone's thoughts were on activating the grand formation. As the 13 nascent soul realm old monsters injected their magic power into the formation light, the formation light that had lasted for thousands of years finally ran out of immortal jades. It gradually dimmed and finally broke. The moment the formation light shattered, a hole appeared in the center of the originally empty island. Impressively, there was a cave abode hidden there. A divine transformation realm old monster's abode. The 13 people's eyes were filled with excitement. If they could obtain some treasures, pills, or cultivation techniques, they might even have a chance to reach the divine transformation realm in their lifetime. The 13 streaks of light rushed into the cave. The cave was not big, and it was empty. There were only 5 quiet rooms, and each room had some treasures placed inside. This is a high-grade 4th revolution pill, Earth origin pill. There are actually 20 of them. A low-grade divine transformation realm cultivation technique. Heavenly Fire 3 profound art. This cultivation technique is mine. Incomplete profound heavenly treasure. There are actually 3 incomplete profound heavenly treasures here. These are nascent soul realm puppets. The senior who built this abode was really generous. He actually captured a nascent soul realm old monster and refined a puppet. The 4 quiet rooms all had precious treasures. The 13 nascent soul cultivators each obtained something, but they didn't fight with each other. There were too many monks and not enough gruel. It was impossible for them not to fight. They would definitely fight to the death for the treasures. But that was for the future. There was still the 5th meditation room that they hadn't entered. No matter what, they had to find all the treasures and fight to the death. Bang! The stone door of the 5th room was especially sturdy. The 13 of them expended a great deal of effort to open a small gap in the stone door. A faint aura of death seeped out from the crack. That aura of death was something that only a spirit-severing old monster would leave behind when he passed away. This 5th stone room was the place where the previous owner of the cave had passed away. There might even be a storage bag left behind by that senior. The best treasures were definitely here. Everyone's eyes were filled with excitement and nervousness. They used all their strength to open the stone door. The stone room was rather simple and crude. A withered cultivator sat on a praying mat. He had been dead for countless years. There was an old storage bag tied to his waist. As soon as the 13 nascent soul eccentrics saw the bag of holding, their eyes filled with greed, and they almost wanted to fight over it. But before they could do anything, the 13 of them shifted their gazes to the side. All of them were terrified and stunned. Beside the withered skeleton, there was a white-robed young man. He didn't reveal any aura, as if he didn't exist in this world. Strange. It was too strange. Why would there be a white-robed young man in this stone room? That person just stood there without turning his head. The 13 old monsters felt their nascent souls were about to be crushed, and their hearts were trembling with fear. What kind of cultivation level was that? What kind of expert could crush someone's nascent soul just by looking at their back? Oh, there are juniors here? Whale Yang Yu Air chased them away. Yes. Following the white-robed young man's order, 2 ladies appeared out of nowhere. One of them had pure eyes and looked like a fairy. Although the other was a little girl, she had red lips and white teeth. She was very cute. As soon as the 2 ladies appeared, they emitted the aura of a spirit-severing cultivator. With a wave of their hands, a strong wind rose in the stone room and carried the 13 old monsters out of the island. Shock, fear and confusion. The 13 of them were all nascent soul realm old monsters. How could they not see that the cultivation level of the man and the 2 ladies was far above the nascent soul realm? All 3 of them were spirit-severing realm old monsters. Hiss. Before we entered this cave dwelling, there were 3 spirit-severing realm experts who entered before us. Retreat. Retreat now. The 13 of them no longer had the intention to fight for the treasures. At this moment, they only had one thought in their minds: run. In their entire lives, they had never seen such an expert who could crush someone's nascent soul with just his back. A well-planned treasure hunt in the ruins had ended up with a blunder. Among them, many of them felt that the back of that person was somewhat familiar. When they thought about it carefully, they felt that the person was somewhat similar to the person who was being hunted by the Rain Palace. However, this was none of their business. In the stone room, the white-robed young man's eyes were focused on the ancient pill recipe in his hands. He did not care about the storage pouch of the withered skeleton cultivator at all. As for the 13 nascent soul realm old monsters, they did not arouse his interest at all. He was pale and skinny. However, when he stood there, he gave off an imposing aura without being angry. This person was none other than Ning Fan, who had just entered the internal endless sea. The karma of the external endless sea had been settled. It had been 3 days since he entered the internal endless sea. When he passed by this isolated island, his eyes flashed. He discovered that there were ruins hidden in this place. It was the cave dwelling of an early spirit severing realm junior. An early spirit severing realm junior was not enough to arouse his interest. However, when he scanned the place with his spirit sense, he discovered that there were a few pill recipes in this place. The treasures in the 5 stone rooms and the pitifully poor storage pouch of the spirit severing realm cultivator could not arouse his interest at all. He did not know where this cultivator got his hands on some ancient pill recipes. Most of them were 3rd revolution pills, and a few of them were 4th revolution pills. Apart from that, there were also 3 5th revolution pill recipes. Only these 3 5th revolution pill recipes could move Ning Fan's interest a little. One of the pill recipes recorded in it was called Consciousness Repairing Pill. It was a low-grade 5th revolution pill that could heal the injuries of a cultivator's sea of consciousness. Ning Fan also knew a few pill recipes that could heal one sea of consciousness. The grade of the 4th revolution pill was slightly lower, while the 5th revolution pill recipes lacked a few main ingredients. Those main ingredients had already gone extinct in the cultivation world. The effect of this consciousness repairing pill was not as good as the few pills that Ning Fan knew. However, the main ingredients were easy to find. After obtaining this pill recipe by chance, Ning Fan could search for some spiritual herbs to continue healing the female corpse's sea of consciousness. Little Yu Air's primordial spirit has already stabilized. Even if she doesn't wake up, it won't be a big problem. Wei Yang's sea of consciousness is still recovering. I can concoct some pills to help her heal her sea of consciousness. Ning Fan kept the pill recipe and looked at the storage pouch on the skeleton's waist. He shook his head and took away all of his belongings. Even though this person was a little poor, it was shameful to be wasteful. Little cucumber, I have already chased him away. How are you going to thank me? Guang is gone. Not long after, the female corpse and Yu Lingkong returned to the stone room. The female corpse's face was still expressionless while Yu Lingkong was rather impatient. Both of their injuries had already healed. Since they had entered the internal endless sea, they could bring them along with them. Yu Lingkong's cultivation base was still at the late divine transformation realm. Perhaps she could return to the divine space island and reverse engineer her second primordial spirit to recover her original cultivation base. As for the female corpse, her spiritual intelligence seemed to have become slightly higher than before. Her cultivation base was also close to breaking through to the late divine transformation realm. If the key to Luo Yu's recovery was to heal her primordial spirit, the key to the female corpse's recovery would probably be to heal her sea of consciousness. There's no need for us to thank each other. Ning Fan caressed the female corpse's small face that did not have any body temperature. Then he looked at Yu Lingkong and teased her. I just slept with you once. We don't have such a deep relationship. You should thank me when you need to. Hurry up and help me fight my way back to the divine space island. Then, fix my second primordial spirit until it is beyond recognition. I can't wait any longer. All right. Ning Fan agreed without any hesitation. Yu Lingkong was stunned. She did not know since when did Ning Fan become so easy to talk to. Give me the map of the internal endless sea. I will bring you back to the divine space island. The map of the internal endless sea? I can give it to you. However, Are you going to go to the Divine Space Island by yourself? Yu Lingkong asked with a strange expression. What else can I do? The Divine Space Island is deep in the northern sea of the Eternal Endless Sea. It is at least 7 billion li away from here. With your speed, even if you fly without resting or sleeping, it will still take you more than a few months to get there. However, I have a way to let you reach the Divine Space Island within a month. Oh. What way? Moon portals. All the subordinate forces of my Divine Space Island have built moon portals. In the past, when I travel, I can use the moon portals to directly move to the next island. There is no need for me to travel by myself at all. A moon portal can travel around 300 million li. In that case, are we going to the subordinate forces of the Divine Space Island next? Even though Ning Fan had never seen a moon portal before, it sounded very similar to a teleportation formation. If he doesn't use such a convenient item, he would be a fool. It has been more than 20 years since the tribulation of the Divine Space Island. I'm afraid most of the forces that relied on me in the past have already been divided by others. However, the moon portals should still be there. Other than me, no one can pass through them and no one can destroy them. Yu Lingkong nodded her head. Her expression was a little sad. However, she quickly hid it as she did not want Ning Fan to see it. Then she took out a jade slip and pressed it against her glabella. She closed her eyes and imprinted the memory of the map of the Endless Sea into the jade slip. Then she passed it to Ning Fan. 2 hours later, Ning Fan had memorized all the maps of the Endless Sea. He carried the two ladies and flew away. Looking at the familiar internal sea, Yu Lingkong knitted her brows. The past was still vivid in her mind. In the past, she was still the supreme being of the internal sea and a female tyrant. Now, however, she was only left with the body of a little girl. She could not help but feel a little disappointed. Of course, her expression could not hide from Ning Fan. He remained silent, but he was determined to help Yu Lingkong take back the Divine Space Island. The female corpse blinked her bright eyes. Her expression, however, was a little empty and quiet. There was neither joy nor sorrow on her face. Her expression was a little pitiful. Ning Fan had already made up his mind. Since they were going to travel using the moon portals along the way, he might as well purchase some spiritual herbs every time they arrive at a place to concoct the consciousness-repairing pill. The nearest subordinate force of the Divine Space Island was called Tianqi Island. It was a medium-sized island in the internal sea. The island lord was an early divine transformation realm cultivator, who used to rely on the Divine Space Island. Yes, everything was in the past. More than 20 years ago, the Divine Space Island underwent a drastic change. From then on, the island was sealed. Even the fate of the Lord of the Divine Space Island was unknown. The Divine Space Island, which was once the strongest of the 7 venerated beings of the internal sea, declined from then on. All of the forces under the Divine Space Island were either forced to leave, or their hearts were divided. Little Cucumber, have you been betrayed before? This place used to be my, Yu Lingkong's territory. Outside the Tianqi Island, Ning Fan halted his movement light. He felt that the closer he got to the island, the more chaotic Yu Lingkong's emotions became. Her tone was a little sad. No matter how carefree she was usually and how manly she was, the feeling of being betrayed still did not feel good. She had clearly broken through to the void refinement realm, but her second primordial spirit took everything away, and she was betrayed by her 7 disciples. If it was the Yu Lingkong in the past, she would only kill the traitors coldly without feeling sad. However, after staying by Ning Fan's side for a long time, her heart also softened. If you don't betray me, I won't betray you either. Ning Fan's expression remained unchanged as he said indifferently. It was just a plain sentence, but it made Yu Lingkong feel a little better. All right. Remember what you said. If you betray me one day, I will never forgive you. Let's enter the island. Yu Lingkong's fragile state was comforted by Ning Fan's words. Her heart returned to the domineering attitude of a female tyrant in the past. Tianqi Island seemed to be sealed. The formation light was activated and no one was allowed to enter. However, Yu Lingkong just smiled coldly and ignored the formation light. She clenched her fist and threw a punch at the grand formation. At the next moment, the formation light was shattered and everyone on the island was shocked. Who are you? The Lord of Tianqi Island is discussing an important matter with the elders of the main clan. The entire island is sealed. No cultivators are allowed to enter. The cultivators of Tianqi Island flew into the sky one after another. Their eyes were filled with vigilance and fear. The Tianqi Grand Formation was a low-grade Divine Transformation Realm Grand Formation. Unless it was a Divine Transformation Realm Old Monster, no one could destroy it with a single punch. They were afraid of Yu Lingkong, but that was all they could do. Tianqi Island was supported by a certain large clan. Even if it was a Divine Transformation Realm Old Monster, he would not be able to bear the consequences if he comes to Tianqi Island and causes trouble. Get lost! How dare you stop me? Yu Lingkong shouted. Suddenly, thousands of rays of moonlight appeared in the clear sky. As soon as the moonlight dispersed, each of the Gold Core Realm and Nascent Soul Realm cultivators coughed out blood and fell from the sky as if they had suffered a heavy blow. As soon as this technique was activated, the expressions of countless cultivators changed greatly. All of them recognized this technique. In the Golden Palace at the center of the island, the terrified voice of an old man carrying an early Divine Transformation Realm Aura Force spread out. Moon Scattering Technique. You are a member of the Divine Space Island. No, you are. Venerated Moon. An old man in brocade robes flew out of the Golden Palace with a panicked expression. He flew into the sky and looked at Yu Lingkong with fear. The Divine Space Island was too powerful. He, the old man of Tianqi Island, had once attached himself to the Divine Space Island. Thus, he knew how terrifying the Divine Space Island was. There was no doubt about it. This moon scattering technique could only be used by a small number of Divine Transformation Realm cultivators of the Divine Space Island. Besides, Yu Lingkong was the only one who could display this technique to such an extent. The old man realized that the petite little girl in front of him was probably the rumored master of the Divine Space Island. Even though he had attached himself to the Divine Space Island in the past, he had never seen Yu Lingkong's face. This time, it was his first time seeing her. His spirit sense scanned the area behind Yu Lingkong, Ningfan and the female corpse. With his cultivation base, he could not sense Ningfan's chi at all. He only felt that this person's face was a little familiar, but he did not treat him as a Divine Transformation Realm cultivator. He also could not see through Yu Lingkong's exact cultivation base. He only knew that she was still at the half-step void refinement realm. Thus, he was naturally afraid of her. As for the female corpse, fear rose in the old man's heart again. It was because he discovered that the female corpse was a mid-Divine Transformation Realm corpse devil. The old man in brocade robes was filled with fear. He did not know why Venerated Moon, who had been missing for many years, would bring a mid-Divine Transformation Realm corpse devil to Tianqi Island. Could it be that she came to blame him for leaving the Divine Space Island? Beside him, a peak Divine Transformation Realm old man in black robes could see through Yu Lingkong's cultivation base with just a single glance. You are Yu Lingkong. Who are you? Yu Lingkong knitted her brows. She had roamed the internal sea for many years. Who would dare to call her name directly? I'm one of the 6 elders of the Six-Winged Clan, Elder Hei. Yu Lingkong, my Six-Winged Clan doesn't care whether you live or die. However, this Tianqi Island is already a force of my Six-Winged Clan. If you dare to cause trouble here again, don't blame me for being ruthless and killing you. The current you is only at the late Divine Transformation Realm. You are not my match. Hiss. Countless cultivators of Tianqi Island gasped. When they heard that Yu Lingkong was still alive, they were already shocked. When they heard that her cultivation base had fallen to the late Divine Transformation Realm, they were even more shocked. A slightly surprised expression also appeared on Yu Lingkong's face. It was rare for her to be surprised. However, the identity of the black-robed old man had obviously made her fearful. Get lost. The black-robed old man took a step forward. His aura force was like a mountain, forcing Yu Lingkong to retreat a few steps before she could stabilize her petite body. Blood trickled down from the corner of her mouth. She was slightly injured. With Yu Lingkong's late Divine Transformation Realm cultivation base, She was slightly stronger than an ordinary peak divine transformation realm cultivator when she exerted her full strength. However, her aura force was slightly weaker than the black-robed old man's. This undoubtedly showed that the black-robed old man's strength was astonishing. The word "get lost" was filled with humiliation and disdain. This black-robed old man did not put the divine space island in his eyes at all, let alone Yu Lingkong, who was at the late divine transformation realm. Naturally, it was impossible for him to put a mid-divine transformation realm female corpse in his eyes. As for Ning Fan, no one could tell how strong he was at all. Seeing the black-robed old man forcing Yu Lingkong to retreat with a single step, the old man of Tianqi Island, who was afraid of Yu Lingkong, immediately felt relieved. In the past, venerated Moon was extremely strong. There was no place for a peak divine transformation realm cultivator to stand beside her. But today she is so weak. It seems like something big has really happened to the divine space island. It seems like it was a wise decision for me to side with the Six-Winged Clan. I don't have to worry about the divine space island coming after me at all. Old man Tianqi felt relieved. His fear towards the divine space island completely vanished. However, at the next moment, a shocking scene that he did not expect appeared. Ning Fan, who no one was paying attention to, suddenly took a gentle step forward and shielded Yu Lingkong behind him. He grabbed with his large hand. An unimaginable tearing force easily tore apart all of the black-robed old man's aura force. Poof! The black-robed old man coughed out blood non-stop. His body was nearly torn apart by that claw force. His face was filled with astonishment. The Ning Fan in front of him was so strong that he instinctively feared him. Who are you? I am the sixth elder of the Six-Winged Clan. How dare you touch me? The Six-Winged Clan? I've never heard of you before. Ning Fan's face was expressionless. He took a step forward and approached the old man at an unbelievable speed. Then he grabbed the old man's neck and lifted him up. How dare you hurt my woman? Who are you? Zhou Ming. The two cold words immediately turned into an unimaginable storm that spread across Tianqi. Zhou Ming. These two words were the devil barrier of the endless sea. Even though not many people in the internal sea could recognize Ning Fan's appearance, no one doubted the authenticity of his words at this moment. This person must be Zhou Ming. Other than Zhou Ming, who else could have the strength to kill Elder He Yi instantly? Zhou Ming. Stop. Don't kill a member of the Six-Winged Clan. Just as Ning Fan was about to kill He Yi, Yu Lingkong bit her lips and advised him reluctantly. She was the most prideful person in the internal sea. She wanted to kill He Yi the most. However, she knew how strong the Six-Winged Clan was. She did not want Ning Fan to provoke a powerful enemy. Forget it. There is an early void refinement realm expert in the Six-Winged Clan. Although she sounded reluctant, she had no choice but to let it go. Even Yu Lingkong was not willing to provoke some forces in the internal sea. The four clans of the Hidden Ocean, the former master of the Endless Sea, was suppressed by Thunder Sovereign Buzhou alone. Is that so? You should have told me earlier. Ning Fan shook his head. He really had never heard of the Six-Winged Clan before. However, now that he had injured Black Wing, it was certain that he had offended him. Killing Black Wing was an offense, but not killing Black Wing was still an offense. In this case, he would kill He Yi in the most brutal way possible, so that the Six-Winged Clan would not dare to offend him. He Yi, of course, did not know what Ning Fan was thinking. However, when he saw that Ning Fan did not dare to act recklessly after hearing the reputation of the Six-Winged Clan, he thought that Ning Fan was afraid of the Six-Winged Clan and did not dare to hurt him. Unknowingly, his hatred returned a little. Humph. Zhou Ming. Even if you're a revered elder of the Rain Palace, even if you're the 8th venerable of the internal endless sea, you should know that there are still people that you can't afford to offend under the dark side of the internal endless sea. The great elder of the Six-Winged Clan is an early void refinement realm expert. Killing you is like killing an ant. Is that so? Ning Fan remained unmoved, but his eyes flashed with a cold light. Some people were like this. If you put up with them, they would think that you were weak and easy to bully. As for Ning Fan, he was never a person who could endure. Ha! Appear. Ning Fan patted his storage pouch. At the next moment, he summoned 3 void refinement realm spiritual puppets. Six-Winged Clan? There's a void refinement realm being guarding this place? Killing Hei will offend the Six-Winged Clan? If the Six-Winged Clan finds out that Elder Hei of their clan has offended someone who has 3 void refinement realm puppets, would they still dare to take revenge on Ningfan? No. Not only will they not dare to take revenge, but they will also beg for forgiveness. Ningfan did not plan to show his trump card to others so soon. However, if the Six-Winged Clan thinks that he is weak and easy to bully just because he pretended to be a pig to eat the tiger, it would be a huge loss for him. Pretending to be a tiger is like killing a pig. It's impossible. You have 3 void refinement realm spiritual puppets. This is absolutely impossible. Hei's face became distorted due to excessive fear. Boom Ningfan no longer paid attention to Hei's words. He clenched his 5 fingers and crushed Hei's physical body, leaving only his black primordial spirit. After sealing it, he kept it in his storage pouch. Enter the island, Ningfan said coldly. However, his words were mixed with an unimaginable baleful qi, making all the cultivators on the island feel bone-chilling cold. No one dared to stop him. Meanwhile, a shocking news would spread throughout the internal sea at a terrifying speed. Revered Ming, Zhou Ming, had entered the internal sea with 3 void refinement realm spiritual puppets. It was unstoppable. Half a day later, in the Six-Winged Clan that was 1 million zhang below the hidden ocean which was the size of China, an old man who was on his deathbed was holding the information about Hei's death. His face was filled with rage. He was not angry at Ningfan. He was angry because Hei had actually provoked a malignant star. If Ningfan did not have the 3 void refinement realm spiritual puppets, the old man would not mind using his void refinement realm cultivation base to eliminate Ningfan. Even if Ningfan was a revered elder of the Rain Palace, he would not be afraid of him. However, Ningfan's trump card made the old man fearful. Great Elder. This Zhou Ming has 3 void refinement realm spiritual puppets. In the internal sea, other than the Zhou clan, no one can suppress him. How hateful it is that Hei actually provoked such a malignant star for our clan. Great Elder, please make a decision quickly and apologize to revered Ming. They had no choice but to apologize. Ningfan had 3 void refinement realm spiritual puppets, and he possessed the strength to single-handedly eliminate the entire Six-Winged Clan. How could they offend such a malignant star? Chapter 402. Venerable Moon returned, and Venerable Ming entered the internal endless sea. The power of the 3 void refinement realm spiritual puppets formed a hurricane that swept across the endless sea. All of a sudden, Ningfan had almost become the most untouchable person in the endless sea. Among the 8 venerated beings of the internal sea, Ningfan's reputation was almost unparalleled. On Tianqi Island, Old Man Tianqi's expression was filled with lingering fear. Right before his eyes, Hei, who was a dignified peak divine transformation realm expert, did not even have the ability to resist, and was crushed to death by Ningfan with a single palm strike. When he recalled the cold and empty eyes of the 3 spiritual puppets, he could not imagine why Ningfan would have 3 void refinement realm spiritual puppets. Ningfan had forcefully planted a demon seal on him, and forcefully annexed this island, and returned it to Yulingkong. Old Man Tianqi did not dare to resist. The Six-Winged Clan remained silent. Some of them began to search for Ningfan's appearance to avoid offending him when they meet him in the internal endless sea in the future. There were even people who were secretly speculating about the origins of the 3 puppets. There was a rumor that Ningfan had become a revered elder after joining the Great Heaven Palace and gained Yun Tianjue's recognition. The 3 void refinement realm spiritual puppets were naturally related to Yun Tianjue. All of them thought that he was the one who gave them to Ningfan. In this way, no one doubted the puppet's origins. When they thought of the spiritual puppet that Yun Tianjue had given Ningfan, even the hidden experts of the Zhou clan would not be willing to provoke Ningfan. The 3 void refinement realm spiritual puppets were indeed frightening. Yun Tianjue's protection was terrifying. Unfortunately, ever since that day, Ningfan never took out his spiritual puppets in front of anyone again. Thus, he did not expose his identity as a world beast of the puppet world. Even if it was exposed, With Yin Tianjue's cold and detached personality, no one would dare to question where the puppet came from. Most people would just assume that it was made by Yin Tianjue's realm beast of slaughter. He spent the entire day collecting spiritual herbs on Tianqi Island. Before coming to Tianqi, he was prepared to use money to buy medicine. Now that he'd subdued Tianqi, there was naturally no need for him to spend any more money. He emptied Tianqi Island's medicine storehouse and collected a lot of medicinal herbs for refining the consciousness-repairing pill. This time, when he summoned the puppet, not only did he intimidate the six-winged clan, but he also borrowed Yin Tianjue's power. Unless they were enemies who would not rest until one of them was dead, no one would have the intention to harm him. A man and two women stood at the peak of Feiyue Mountain in the south of the island. He quietly waited for the moon to descend. The moonlight condensed into a moon gate. The moon gate that Yu Lingkong mentioned could only be used at night. At this moment, it was still the first crescent moon. He had to wait for the second crescent moon to appear before he could borrow the power of the moon to appear. The moonlight forms a door, appearing in the middle of the sky. Prajna Polo, traverse the void. Yu Lingkong recited an incantation and the shadows of her fingers fluttered about. Traces of moonlight twined around her soft fingers. Meanwhile, in the night sky, the shadow of a moonlight gate slowly appeared. It was extremely faint, extremely faint. It was left behind by Yu Lingkong back then. The moon gate technique was one of Yu Lingkong's trump cards. It originated from the inheritance of immortal concubine Zhongyu. If Yu Lingkong was in her peak condition, she could borrow the power of the moon to condense a door and directly open the door to the void. Right now, she could only use the moon gate that she had formed in the past to escape. Moon awareness moon gate technique. Your techniques are truly extraordinary. Ning Fan sighed with emotion. Yu Lingkong's divine veins are quite mysterious. Tisk, no matter how extraordinary he is, he's not as powerful as you. Little cucumber, you troublemaker. As soon as you showed up, you killed Black Wing, and even summoned 3 Void Refinement Realm spiritual puppets. Now, I'm afraid no one in the internal sea will dare to offend you anymore. Yu Lingkong complained in her mind. Even though she was known as a female tyrant, she did not dare to kill one of the 6 elders of the Six-Winged Clan. What's the origin of the Six-Winged Clan? Ning Fan finally asked. Do you know about the 4 clans of the Hidden Sea? Yu Lingkong hesitated for a moment. The Six-Winged Clan was a dark force of the internal sea. Not many people knew about its existence. I've never heard of it. The 4 clans of the Hidden Sea were the rulers of the Endless Sea before Thunder Sovereign Buzhou appeared. All of them were devil races. Devil race? If that's the case, they are somewhat similar to the Giant Devil Clan. Ning Fan said with a deep voice. The Giant Devil Clan was originally one of the 4 clans. However, it eventually submitted to the Thunder Sovereign. The other 3 clans are still being suppressed under the Sea Area 1 million zhang. Yu Lingkong knitted her brows. This was a secret. However, it seemed like there was no harm in telling Ning Fan about it. Then she continued to say, other than the Giant Devil Clan which submitted to the Thunder Sovereign, the other 3 clans are the Six-Winged Clan, the Misthorn Clan and the Ghost Eye Clan. The Void Refinement Realm ancestors of the Giant Devil Clan had already died in battle, along with the Thunder Sovereign. The current Giant Devil Clan can't be compared to the other 3 clans. The Six-Winged Clan is the weakest among the 3 clans. It only has a Void Refinement Realm expert. The Misthorn Clan is slightly stronger. They have 3 Void Refinement Realm experts and one of them is even at the Mid-Void Refinement Realm. As for the Ghost Eye Clan, as soon as the Ghost Eye Clan was mentioned, even Yu Lingkong could not help but show a solemn expression. The Ghost Eye Clan once had a Void Fragmentation Realm expert who was once the overlord of the Endless Sea. In the end, that Void Fragmentation Realm expert was killed by the Thunder Sovereign. Even so, we must never provoke the Ghost Eye Clan. Yu Lingkong's tone was unprecedentedly solemn. Even though Ning Fan had 3 Void Refinement Realm spiritual puppets, she would not agree to him offending the Ghost Eye Clan. The Six-Winged Clan and the Misthorn Clan are fine. However, the Ghost Eye Clan is very scary. Little cucumber, the internal sea isn't as simple as you think. You can cause trouble, but you must never provoke the Zhou clan, or the Ghost Eye clan. Yu Lingkong emphasized again. Are you worried about me? Ning Fan smiled faintly. However, under his smile, there was a hint of seriousness. He had never looked down on the internal sea. The one he looked down on was the Six-Winged clan. Why would I be worried about you? If you didn't offend Six-Winged because of me, would I remind you? Yu Lingkong knitted her brows and did not say anything else. Ning Fan also did not tease her. He placed his palm on her shoulder and used the power of the black star to heal her. The moon gate condensed bit by bit. In the latter half of the night, when the moon was in its last quarter, the moon gate had completely formed. Under the bright moonlight, a door of light condensed from moonlight stood in the night sky. As long as one crossed through this door, he would be able to travel 300 million miles and head towards the next divine space island. Little cucumber, we can leave now. Yu Lingkong shook her shoulders unnaturally, shaking off Ning Fan's hand. Then, with a tap of her foot, she was about to pass through the door and leave. However, just as she leaped into the air, Ning Fan pulled her back into his arms. Little cucumber, don't waste any more time. Yu Lingkong's face turned serious. Wait, there's a guest. Ning Fan loosened his embrace and shielded Yu Lingkong and the female corpse behind him. Then he stood facing the south of the mountain with his hands clasped behind his back. In that direction, 100,000 kilometers away, a silver shadow strangely escaped, its speed extremely fast. Each time it escaped, it could almost travel across 150,000 li of mountains and rivers. Just as Ning Fan's voice fell, the silver shadow had already appeared on the mountain peak. It was an elderly man in silver robes. That elderly man had an early void refinement realm cultivation base. That elderly man had 6 silver wings on his back. As soon as that elderly man appeared, an extremely obscure spirit sense swept towards Ning Fan. It was filled with malicious intent. It was as if he wanted to directly subdue Ning Fan with his spirit sense, not giving him the chance to summon his spiritual puppets. Who are you? Ning Fan's eyes turned solemn. This person's speed was far faster than mine. However, his spirit sense was just about the same as mine. It's impossible for him to sneak an attack on me with the spirit sense of an early void refinement realm cultivator. As he took a step forward, his spirit sense wrapped around his body. The elderly man felt a sharp pain and immediately withdrew his spirit sense. His eyes were filled with astonishment. Your spirit sense is really strong. I'm afraid that your spirit sense is already on par with mine. No wonder you can control 3 void refinement realm spiritual puppets at the same time. You're also extraordinary. With 6 wings, you can travel 150,000 li. If you forcefully escape by damaging yourself, I'm afraid you can even reach 300,000 li. With such speed, you must be extremely confident that even if I have 3 spiritual puppets, I won't be able to capture you, right? However, do you believe that even if I don't summon my spiritual puppets, I still have a way to keep you here? Ning Fan had already guessed the identity of the elderly man after keeping Ammonian away. His tone changed and his baleful chi spread out. The bright moonlight was directly dyed into a blood moon by the baleful chi. Hiss! The silver-robed elderly man was inwardly shocked. He could not imagine that a divine transformation realm junior would actually have a baleful chi that was 10 times stronger than his. Judging from the intensity of this baleful chi, Ning Fan had killed at least 1,000 divine transformation realm cultivators. No, it's more than that. Among the baleful chi, there was one that was especially ferocious. It was the baleful chi that was left behind after killing void refinement realm cultivators. At first, the elderly man harbored malicious intentions. He even wanted to sneak an attack on Ning Fan. However, his attack failed and he gave up on the idea. However, after hearing Ning Fan's warning and claiming that he could keep the elderly man here with his own strength, the elderly man did not believe him at all. He only thought that Ning Fan was boasting. However, the baleful chi of 1,000 divine transformation realm cultivators and 1 void refinement realm cultivator made the silver-robed elderly man no longer doubt the authenticity of Ning Fan's words. This young man is capable of killing void refinement realm experts. Moreover, judging from the intensity of his baleful chi, This person did not rely on any external help to kill the Void Refinement Realm cultivators. Moreover, he killed them with a single strike. If an outsider had helped him, or if the battle had lasted for a long time, it would have been impossible to leave behind such a strong murderous aura. Little friend, please calm down. I am the Great Elder of the Six-Winged Clan, Xianyi. I have no ill intentions in coming here tonight. So it's Great Elder Xian. May I know why Great Elder has come here in the middle of the night? Could it be that you are here to interrogate me? Ning Fan's face was expressionless, but his heart was sneering. It was not that Xianyi did not have any malicious intent. He was just frightened by Ning Fan's baleful qi. Thus, he did not dare to have any malicious intent. Since Ning Fan dared to expose his spiritual puppets, he was not afraid of others finding out about it. He was also not afraid of a sneak attack from a Void Refinement Realm expert. His combat power was already strong enough to fight against a Void Refinement Realm cultivator. However, he could not win because he did not use his sovereign qi. The best he could do was to protect himself from being defeated. Little friend, you must be joking. This old man already knows everything that happened during the day. Little friend, you are not in the wrong. The one who is in the wrong is my six-winged clan, Blackwing. Back then, when the Moon Venerable went missing, it was widely rumored that she was dead. I didn't know that she was still alive, so I boldly annexed hundreds of islands including Tianqi. This is my first mistake. Blackwing attacked without permission and hurt Venerable Moon, offending Venerable Ming's beauty. This is my second mistake. Venerated Ming had only himself to blame for killing Blackwing. Who said that I'm Little Cucumber's beauty? Yu Lingkong tried to defend herself. However, Ning Fan secretly pinched her wrist and shook his head, signaling her to be quiet. Great Elder, if you have something to say, just say it. Ning Fan said indifferently. Xianyi's cloudy eyes showed a slight struggle. Then he gritted his teeth and cupped his fists at Ning Fan. I have two requests for coming here. Firstly, I hope that Venerable Ming and the Six-Winged Clan can resolve their misunderstandings. I hope that Blackwing won't vent his anger on my Six-Winged Clan for his crimes. As compensation, I will return the forces of the Divine Space Island that we annexed in the past. Secondly, I heard that Venerable Ming has yet to kill Blackwing's primordial spirit. Therefore, I boldly ask Venerable Ming to return his primordial spirit. If you can do that, I will thank Venerable Ming's magnanimity on behalf of the Six-Winged Clan. The female corpse looked at the moon indifferently as if what happened here had nothing to do with her. There was only Ning Fan in her world. Yu Lingkong, on the other hand, was so surprised that she could not close her mouth. What did she just see? The Void Refinement Realm Great Elder of the Six-Winged Clan is apologizing to Ning Fan? Even though the Great Elder did not behave in a humble manner, it was already extremely rare for him to just ask for compensation and bow to Ning Fan. Which one of them who had attained the Void Refinement Realm was not arrogant? Being able to make a Void Refinement Realm expert bow and apologize to him was a great honor. The forces of the Six-Winged Clan that seized the Divine Space Island should be returned. It can't be considered as compensation. Blackwing's primordial spirit is useless to me. It's not impossible for me to return it, but you have to show your sincerity. Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. He was not a young man who had just entered the cultivation world. A Void Refinement Realm old monster bowed and apologized verbally. If he thought that he could write off everything with a stroke of the pen, he must have underestimated Ning Fan too much. If there are benefits, Ning Fan would naturally let the Six-Winged Clan go. He had a lot of things to do and he was too lazy to get entangled with the Six-Winged Clan. If there are no benefits, he would not mind annihilating the Six-Winged Clan. Xianyi seemed to have not figured out his standpoint. Did he think that he was giving Ning Fan face by negotiating with him on equal terms? No. He was not on equal terms with Ning Fan. Ning Fan had the strength to annihilate the Six-Winged Clan. Xianyi only had the right to apologize. Humph. What kind of sincerity do you want? Xianyi's eyes turned grim. I heard from you, Heir, that there is a stone platform in the Blackwing Clan called the Revival Platform. It has a unique healing effect on injuries to the physical body and Sea of Consciousness. My wife's Sea of Consciousness is slightly injured, and she wants to borrow the revival platform. Impossible. My clan's ancestral teaching states that the revival platform cannot be used by foreign races. Xianyi refused without hesitation. What if I insist on using it? Ning Fan's tone carried a hint of threat. One move. If you can make me take half a step back, I can lend you the revival platform. This is the ancestral teaching. Xianyi's eyes turned darker. He felt that it was necessary for him to let Ning Fan know how strong he was. Even though he had tolerated Ning Fan many times, it was only because he was pressured by his clan that he had no choice but to beg for his forgiveness. He felt that he had already given Ning Fan a lot of face by bowing and apologizing to him. Ning Fan had gone too far. One move. All right. Ning Fan touched his glabella, and the Separation Slayer sword appeared in his hand. Under the moonlight, layers of sword shadows could be seen. One sword shadow turned into 10, 10 turned into 100, 100 turned into 1,000, and 1,000 turned into 10,000. Ning Fan was comprehending the profound principle of turning 1 into 10,000. A terrifying sword chi condensed on his body. Myriad sword style. Xianyi's aura force weakened. He suddenly felt that he did not have the confidence to win against Ning Fan. What level of sword chi is this? That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.